Here we go. We are back for another Power Play show with the hockey coach Guru, Coach Frenchies directly for the Sunshine State in Florida. And we have to go all the way to find the two insider of the Hockey Nation Live show. We welcome both of them, and one from Nova Scotia, Mr. Andrew Lepage, and from the middle, the one right there is completely on the west of Mr. Andrew, but on the north of me, and I'm talking about Mr. Inor Tap and the house tonight.
Hello, Coach and Hockey Nation.
How's it go?
Welcome aboard. We are like, not many. We saw each other, I think it was today, first of all, but all together with Michael David, it was Sunday night. We'll do a special night tonight because we want to talk about a little bit the trade deadline we see happening for the last 24 hours, the winner, the loser, and talk about the game tonight because you have a three big game tonight, Mr. Northap and Andrew. I'm talking about the Carolina and the Tampa Bay, where my eyes is on this game. And honestly, right now I'm talking to you, the Edmonton just take the lead 1-0 over the Dallas Star. This was the second game we're looking for tonight. And finally, another third game, honestly, I'm talking about the Winnipeg Jets and the Golden Knight tonight, where I believe that last of this game is going to be really difficult for them, one of the two teams. And surprisingly, again, Shostakin is show some fatigue or something's going on with their Shostakin. Gave again 5 goals tonight, and the game is not over. 5-2 after 40 minutes. So a lot of action around the league. 11 game. Go to follow up with that. Or I'm sure we have Mr. RJ somewhere. Somehow is going to give us all the update. The time Andrew was talking, and we have the time checking over the game, and Mr. Renatap. And then finally, you guys in the chat, you are the ones going to make that show better because it's Unite. We're talking about, Coach. But we decided to come here to do a QA with you also. So if you have any question, you put the letter Q in front, and then we're going to give you, we're going to answer to your question. And usually we see each question, but we can miss some of you. Just put this again. It's not because we ignore you. It's just because we have too many people at some point. But we do the best we can to answer to all your questions. So, Mr. Enartap, welcome back. I saw you a couple of minutes ago, maybe a couple hours, welcome, but great guy. And now we have Mr. Andrew this morning, Mr. Enartap. So the crew was all day long here. Where first of all, we want to thank each one of you. Maybe the people in the chat does not know me. I know the time you gave to us every week for us. I just want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for what you bring to our Hockey Nation Live show. And also your knowledge about hockey. So honestly, tonight we are in the living room. No, we are the Hooters restaurant, you and me and Enotap and Andrew. Nobody around. And it's time to watching the game on the TVs and then take some snap, some wings, and then let's talking about hockey for the next, I don't know, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, maybe 3. We know one thing, we shut down at midnight. That's what we do because the bar is shut down at midnight. They kick us out, and Danny's going to jump on us. He's going to put everybody out at midnight. That's the Danny. He's in charge about the chat here. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. And first of all, we'll welcome Nicolas de Gobi Bono.
Welcome, Nicholas.
The man is back, Mr. RJ Calabro Sports Schedule Update and for the Hockey Nation Live show. He said 5-3 now for the New Jersey Devils. And we welcome Mr. Luciano Graziano.
Welcome, Luciano.
Welcome.
I think with that kind of name, you have to go to I don't know, like Olive Garden or Giorgio or something like that.
You do an absolutely fantastic job of that. I love the way you announce that. It's awesome.
You enunciate well.
I feel like, I don't know, he's a soccer player or, a rugby player or maybe a bowling player. I don't know, who knows right now, but I just feel like the Montreal Canadiens goal by number 16, Luciano Graziano. Assisted by number 36, Sergio Momesso. I got that one for you. I remember Mr. Gio. He played in Shawinigan. He leave my family, Billet family. I was not there anymore, but my mom keep Sergio Momesso for 2 years. That's another story.
Oh, wow.
Dixon Automotive Group is in the house.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It's not because we don't like you, Mr. Dan Dixon, but the picture of the morning we prefer because we see you wife. The night we see a kind of the sticker, whatever it is, so automobile. But the morning we can see your wife live with us, and she cheered for the right team, by the way. So I just want to let you know that. But that's another story. We can talk about this. Another story about that part over there. Oh no, she cheered for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm sorry about that. Here we go. Miss Kelly back in the house.
Hi, Kelly.
Okay, Kelly.
And Kelly, she said, I knew the Devils will win tonight. Hi, Kelly. What was your final score yesterday, Kelly?
There you go.
How many wins did you get, Kelly, yesterday? Oh, okay, I got it. Just kidding. I'm just pleased with you.
No comment.
And we have Mr. Alan Barnes in the house tonight.
Hello, Alex.
No.
Luciano said I said his name perfectly at some point over there. Listen, we have a couple of things going on around the league. Of course, Devils 5-3 in the show, the corner and the left corner. That corner over my head anyway. You can see the update of the score. So I put this right there, and that's what happening about that, Mr. First of all, Mr. Andrew, what do you get right now for what do you expect for tonight about the game between Dallas, honestly, are at home tonight against the Edmonton Oilers, and the score 1-0, but we are almost at the end of the first period. What is your expectation for that game?
Well, I've been liking seeing what I'm seeing out of Edmonton. They're playing hard right now, so they're kind of on a bit of a hot streak there. So I'm kind of thinking they're going to continue with Dallas, because Dallas, to me, right now, has still been a little bit inconsistent. So I'm expecting tonight that Edmonton right now is on that roll. They want it. They're going to seal the deal tonight, 5-3.
Yep, I want to apologize for Kelly. Kelly was 4-0 yesterday. It was Sunday night, 0-6, but it's okay. We did not well anyway Sunday, all of us anyway.
We all go through it.
And then Kelly said, don't forget to tell to Andrew, and then after I said hi, Kelly. If I forgot about this, Kelly, they should read the comments. Only Andrew is blind, so he cannot maybe not read, but otherwise...
Is this how it's gonna go tonight?
Yeah, it's Danny. Danny is ready for me. Said, I'm going to punch some people tonight. Welcome back, Mr. Danny. Thanks for joining us tonight. And we have a first question of the night. Here we go. I'm right now update everything. I'm at the right spot right now. I'm not laid behind. If the lead do get knocked out in the first round again this year, where do you go from there? That's a good question.
Dubas says goodbye, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that he's going. And, you really got to wonder, even with the coach. Yeah, I think Shanahan will survive.
Yeah, it's, it remains to be seen. But I think the way this team is structured right now, it's all Dubas doing.
Yeah,
they got rid of Lamoriello for that reason. Shanahan sided with Dubas, and so I don't know. The axe is going to definitely start there and fall on Dubas first, but I could see it extending to maybe Shanahan. I don't know.
Wow, that would.
My next question I would be following with Luciano. I think it's a great question about. All right, but now we fire Dubas. What's going on with the players?
They're going to have to unload one of the four. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be a toss-up between Tavares and Mariner. Now, if it was me, I'd be holding on to Tavares. That's just me. I like his all-round play. But truthfully, if I was guessing, I bet you they'll get rid of Tavares.
Yeah. I think you put it best, Coach, the other night. You took the salary cap and you said, how much are their top 4 or 5 players making? And how much does that now leave you for lines 2, 3, and 4? And it comes out to, pitlings for those guys. And you can't structure a team that way. You can't overpay some of the people that are on your third and fourth line. You have to have balance on your defense as well. The top heavy model does not work.
Exactly.
Johnny said that you should apply for NFL referee if you are blind, Andrew.
Actually, I'm pretty good. I used to coach football as well.
On the flip side, Kelly said he's really blind, Andrew. Yes, he is. Since like 1994.
I got to get a proper screen, but coach is doing a good job here.
He's a hawk. Don't worry, he can see.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I can see very well. Run with Kings 20. Welcome back in the house.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, welcome, man.
Sorry about that. It was all defense for San Jose Sharks for you tonight. So now we have the Kings in the house.
Yes.
And Mr. Dixon, it's just like a free marketing promotion. The sticker is the 3 dealership we own. Mr. Dixon, you have to tell us where so people can buy a car where you at. Mr. Steve G in the house. Welcome aboard, Mr. Steve G from Colorado Avalanche, where the Colorado are smiling all over the map right now.
Welcome, Steve.
Oh, a beer. Hey, welcome, Steve.
And Danny's ready to kick Mr. Dubas at that moment. Exactly unload of one of the 4 coach. I told you this. Yes, you're absolutely right, Kelly, about that. I agree with Andrew. Manor is the one, Luciano, he said about that one over there. All right, so me and Otab, we said nothing bad. We said something bad. He just only agree with Andrew. So, just kidding. I don't know how I feel tonight. I feel like some people will be. No, John Tavares or Nylander must go.
Okay.
And then Kelly said, in our tap, you said perfectly structure of the team. Hopefully someone will text something about me because now I feel alone. But we'll see what happens about that. I'll maybe just read the question and no comment for the rest of the night. Why can all on sale at one mic this week, Andrew?
What was that? Sorry.
The white can are in sale at one mic this week, Andrew. If you go there to pick some of you, but don't forget to bring one for the mother-in-law of Johnny. She's looking for one also. So
Johnny's got to give us a mother-in-law joke. It's long overdue.
And send Nylander to Montreal, Dixon said about that. What Ode? Kelly Manor is weak, so to say that. Mr. Frank Zalazar back in the house again.
Hey,
Jesus,
Frank.
I forgot that one again. And Kelly said the Flames just scored, by the way. So congratulations. Mr. Adam Berger, the moderator of the Hockey National Show, collaborator of Vegas Golden Knight. And I know we talked about this today, and I did not follow with him, but I said to him, I would talk about this. We need to clarify what's going on with the contract of Dadonov and everything like that. Anybody want to pick it up, this one? And I can clarify after you talk about this.
The only thing I heard is he filled out the correct information for Dadonov. So really it was on the team, basically. So it sounds like and now that's the last I heard. It sounds like it's a no deal.
Yeah, it's still tied up. They haven't made a decision. It looks like it might have to be a decision made by Gary Bettman here. He might have to intervene, but from my understanding is when he was traded from Ottawa initially, that's when he had his contract made, that's when he put in the no trade clause. For some reason, from my understanding, is that has to be filed because the contract and the no trade contract part of it were done independently of each other. And so when somebody from Ottawa's end did not submit the paperwork, is what I heard. And so when they made the trade right now to from Vegas to
Anaheim.
Who's the other? Anaheim.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't. It didn't result in the paperwork in the contract itself. So that's where it's all caught up now. Now, whose fault is that? You know, it's
From what
up
I'm
in the
hearing,
air.
it's not the player enough. From what I'm hearing, it's not Dan enough. That's the issue. So good on him.
No,
But I don't know.
no,
I don't know if he wants to move.
no. I don't think he wanted to, but
Exactly. He doesn't want to move. So Vegas,
otherwise,
go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say, otherwise this would be done, right? He'd say, "Sure,
Right.
okay, I'll go, whatever."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Dropped.
done.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, follow Adam where he said he's to blame for this management. Is it Ottawa or is it Vegas or is it because Ottawa never told to Vegas and then Vegas trade him and now they find this way. So who found this? Is it the agent of that enough or that enough thought he was like he have to get a list of 10 team, whatever it is?
Well, that's what they're investigating right now, right? It's to see where the ball was dropped here. My understanding is the ball was dropped from Ottawa's end. But, Vegas acquired him. He's with them. I mean, they should have also done their due diligence in terms of, researching any of these clauses that were put in.
Can Ottawa get penalized for that?
That's a very good question. I have no idea. I suppose
now Vegas look bad. Vegas look bad about that, and then it got maybe bad by the paperwork from Ottawa, and then the player is upset, so he create a lot of turmoil inside of And now Adam said, "Okay, can we get something now?" And then John Moore and the other guy got traded. They also, we're going now. We have to stop and take the bus, and we have to stop at the next stop back because maybe we want to attend the end of the bus to come back in. I don't know, but it's a really strange situation.
How awkward is it if this is voided to go back to your teams, especially
Exactly.
in Dandanov's case? Like you were traded. That means you weren't wanted there for whatever reason, and this creates a mess, just a mess for Vegas because they had hoped they would have cleared, I think, $3.5 million off of their
3.35 at the end of the day for Vegas.
Yeah,
after they calculate everything, that's by blah blah blah, and they give a second round pick with that. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
that's crazy when you think about that. I have no clue how they do those stuff like that. And then he said the Vegas fans are very confused. Yeah.
The second part that I heard on that is that the agent is saying also that Vegas should have done their diligence to find that out. So that's kind of why it's kind of looking like both of the teams are responsible, either way you look at it. So I don't know what will come of that mess.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a clerical mistake or negligence that was performed by somebody here. And it has nothing necessarily to do with the teams. Maybe somebody just
definitely about that one over there.
But you got to do your due diligence, right? Like, I mean, when you're in that type of situation, guys are supposed to be doing their homework to have all of that clarified. There's a legal team,
That's right. Yeah.
7-3 Devils.
Wow. Who would have expected? See, I don't think, I think causing that is when they decided to show off Georgiev for a couple games there. I think that might have thrown Sherstikhin into a little bit of a backtail.
No, he had a bad game before that too, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's I mean, maybe it's just a one-off. Who knows?
Frank asked you guys, the Leaf did enough to pass the second round. Do you believe that Leaf did enough, or?
I like the Giordano pickup, but I don't think it's enough.
I'm on the same page. I think I love Giordano as a player. I just don't think he's got enough grit. He's aging. Combination, fantastic hockey player, and a great season player. But when things get gritty, I think he's just not going to be enough. So I still think they're at the point of how the heck are they getting out of the first round?
I don't want to read it, but Johnny make a statement over there, Mr. Up top.
Thanks,
So,
Johnny.
So
I
he
took my
maybe
mother-in-law to
he's
the
missing
zoo.
a gorilla at the zoo in Nova Scotia. Maybe I don't know about that one over there. Brookville, Nissan, Smith, Fall, Kia, and there are 6 of the Dixon car and the truck rental car as well. So that's great to hear that, Mrs. Dixon. Here we go. The message is now done. It's not gonna 1 point a league, 7-3, 2-0 the Jet. I agree about the point and the league, Kelly, but we need the same position, the playoff, and other guys around here need to step up also. Adam said this one over there. This maybe get me in the trouble, but if Vega was LT, they are still not good. They are not good team this year.
I don't know. I respectfully disagree, Adam. I think they have a very good team. It's just I think right now they're up to close to 10 players that are out for one reason or another. Stone's been out most of the year. Pacioretty, I think, has been off 3 times already on the IR. Now Leonard, like you can't lose your goalie. I mean, that's the first mistake there that's going to hurt you. Their defense, like Martinez has been out all year. Theodore was out for a while as well. He hasn't had a good year, but you put all these things together and it decimates your team.
Yeah, there should be a part of this problem over there, right? But I think, like I said earlier, the fact they trade Fleury, the way they did it, the way they managed, they made this happen, it put a red flag for the rest of the players. If they can do this to Fleury, who around us, they can do this also to us. And they get nothing in return. They trade their first round pick for how many of them since the beginning of and this. It's got start with Josh McPhee, then followed by McCrimmon. I think the problem is not on the ice. I think it's really over right now. And their decision is not, they can't, they can trade for Jack Eichel, everything like that. But they gave a lot in return, by the way.
Yeah.
I think they missed a lot more Alex Stock, like that. Nobody thought they were going to miss Alex Stock. They gave Peter Krebs. It's another great, and they get what? A first round pick with that. You know what I mean? So at some point, it's great to have, it's not always good, I believe, to have only star on your team. And I respect Pietrangelo, Stone, and Eichel, Pacioretty, but it's good to have a mix of other players. And Alex Stark was bringing that kind of role inside that team over there. And because while he was playing, the rest of the team was following up him. They will follow him the way he went in intensity, working sick, forward check, back check, physical, everything like that. And they don't have those kind right now. And that's one problem. Now, Carlson is off. Mac Roy is not great on the bottom 6 over there. They don't have a lot of productivity on the bottom 6. That's not making an excuse for all the injury they got also. I understand that part over there. And Leonard got in and out, 3 times? Yeah. And they lost Martinez for the rest of almost like the year. Stone is after the season, and I can go all the way like that. So it's a really sad season for them.
How's that different? How's that different than what happened to Montreal?
But that's why I was going to say that.
Weber's gone.
I was going to say that, and I think it hit also the New York Islanders at the beginning with a lot of COVID situation over there. So it's not like, I think those 3 teams should have a better record.
Ottawa. Ottawa's another one.
It should have a better record.
Yeah.
So that's what happened about that one over there.
And I think you're right.
Try to put that first one.
Tuck was the blue collar guy, right?
Flame says it 2-0.
What's that, Andrew?
I tried to
Tuck
read
was
some
the blue collar guy, just the heart, a lot of heart in that guy. And, he was really, you know what I mean? And I think that really messed up what they had as a unit. Yes, 100%. Stone was definitely as well. But the injuries, there's 4 or 5 teams that got the same problem injury-wise.
Luciano asks is, are you worried about Giordano is a minus 21?
Yeah.
No.
I would be.
I look at the team he was on. I mean, that tells it all. Like, look at Arizona and find, how many teams have negative next to their names.
It's going to be
I know
with Toronto is going to be plus at the end of the year.
Yeah.
There you
I'm
go.
not worried about
But,
that one over there. I'm not worried about
Yeah.
the minus around. I
Yeah.
apologize, jump over you. But I always said this thing. Ovechkin minus 48 4 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's not, I don't trust a lot those minus for me. You know, it's always better you have plus 28, 25. But at the end of the day, of course, he's not a Giordano. I don't know, but me, I watched him a couple of games. I beat the end of them. He's not a Giordano we saw in Calgary.
No.
No, exactly.
He lacked a little bit his speed. He's
Yeah.
not the same anymore. Right now, in Seattle, I believe in our top and Drew. He was on the wrong chair at that moment,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the Hurricanes just score. It's not cooking me, so it's okay. So
Wow.
he's not the right chair. And in Toronto, he's going to play 18 minutes. I believe those 18 minutes will be power at the 24, 25 he got in Seattle. The extra minute he played in Seattle at 38 years old tonight, it's not easy about a scheduled 82 game. That's what I want to mention. It's fun between the minus 21. So for me, I don't see this a big problem for me. I don't know what you have to say.
For me, it's like I said, I think he's going to help them a lot to get there. You know, he's a great seasoned player, no doubt about it. But again, like you mentioned, his age, he's not the guy from Calgary anymore. You know, he's not that stature anymore. There's no doubt about it. And I think the problem becomes the playoffs. There's just a level that I don't think he's going to be able to handle because they got enough defensemen that can't handle it already, right? He's not going to be alone in that thing, and it's a shame because he's going to be the old fella, and he's going to be one of the better ones in the package, you know. But it's not enough.
I agree with you about that one. Roger said that he really enjoyed the table informative today, the round table. I'm sure you talk about the Montreal Canadiens. So if you have a chance to see him, I'm sure you can maybe see the back again somewhere, somehow. But I agree with that. But I don't know Mr. Nortap, but I think we need Danny here. Mr. Joseph step up right now. Hey, guys, what's your prediction on the Devils tonight?
What was our prediction? I forgot now. Let me see.
I know. I picked it to be a close game. I think I only picked it to be a goal difference, to tell you the truth. And I think I picked New York. I
had 4-3.
Yeah, that's what I had.
I have 5-2 for New Jersey, but I changed my mind when I see a Nortap prediction. So I said, I have to go with him now. But Joseph, mine was like 5-2 for Devils, 2 goals for Jesper Pratt. But
get the boxing gloves
again. My influence is I'm very influenceable in my life, so people like Nortap take advantage of how influenced I am. So I did not took
Danny. I think we need one of these, Danny.
Here we go. Johnny, question. What do you think of Justin Barron? He flew to Montreal today. He will first play in Montreal, not Laval.
I think you're going to see him for a game or two. Tell you the truth, they're gonna probably see what he's like out there. He might, and depending on that, who knows, right? And then I think he will go to Laval afterwards for the playoff.
Yeah, exactly the same. He's. I think they want to kind of see what he has. Not that they don't know; they have obviously done their scouting and they've seen him. But there is a need even on our end defensively to have him at this point.
I'm doing with a great video, guys. It's not because I do it, but I'm almost done. We'll be ready tomorrow, and I showed what Montreal did for the trade deadline, everything like that, and I have it done posted watching, take information about Justin Barron, everything like that. You have a video when he played for Halifax. He have a great shot. When he go backwards for moving from backwards to at the blue line, he have an amazing, great skater. Everything like that. We got something good over there. And everybody, guys, want to trade with Colorado, they will request Justin Barron.
Yeah, when you asked me earlier, that's what I was telling you. When I seen him down here, he's a phenomenal skater. And yeah, he's got quite a shot. We got lucky. We got fortunate there.
I understand we lost Likonen, but we get a right deal. We did not know how we can get him as a year free or something like that. Now we get a 20 years old for many years to come with Cooley on the left. You can put Romanov over there. You can put maybe Norlander, maybe Harris, Fairbrother. And then on the right, you can have Ajak, Mayu, and him.
Jack-Eye.
Jack-Eye. What? Ajak.
Jack-Eye.
Yeah, Jack-Eye. Yeah, exactly. So that would be interesting about that one over there.
I'm looking forward to him.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's because in our tap, Kelly, I understand. Because of you, Mr. Natap, she changed her mind about St. Louis.
That's why I kind of went with my own, just so I can't blame anybody.
So let me get this straight. You guys are all going against me. Is that?
No, I'm on your side. I said I picked my own, right?
Okay.
And
right.
because
thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
Yeah, so you wouldn't get blamed.
Gary Conway said, "Can you imagine if Dadonov was part of the big 3-team 5 or 6 player trade? What a mess he could have been more worse."
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. Right. Imagine he traded Dadonov to with Riley Smith to New York Rangers, and in return, now the New York Rangers announced they trade Lafreniere, a second-round pick, and Schneider. Example, you involve the name or trade over there, and look like he looked bad after that. You have to say, wait, we cannot trade them. The player back in their team is not looking good. Great comment for Gary, first of all. Secondly, Gary, welcome aboard. I believe you came here before. If not, welcome in the Hockey Nation family. That'd be great. The Dallas broadcast team, Stratsik, welcome back, Mr. Stratsik. How's doing your team so far? About that, here we go. Danny is starting to hit some people. It's all about Kelly Dubas. The Dallas broadcast team keep talking about how Edmonton can tie 1944 Montreal Canadiens record for the most game in the row, one then scoring first. This I was just trying to chase it. The Dallas broadcast. Oh, I did not know. What's the score, by the way, over there? 2-0 Winnipeg, by the way. 1-0 Edmonton, by the way. So the Rangers just scored 7-4. And I thought you did not pick New Jersey. No, he did not do that.
No, I picked the Rangers.
Yeah. I changed my mind when I saw in our top prediction on Washington.
Oh, yeah. Kelly.
I know the feeling. Laval is not locked for the playoff.
All my picks.
Laval is not locked for the playoff. No, they are not locked for the playoff at that moment. About that one over there. Vegas old favor Avalanche to win a Stanley Cup this year with Florida and Tampa right behind them. They are the 3 best team in NHL for sure. About that one, there's a good comment about that. Adam said, in our tap, I have lived in Vegas since 1989. The Vegas fan and the market will want a debor out before management. The fan in Vegas have a standard that Jerry Takantian set in University LV. About that, do you believe it's debor is really the big problem over there?
I don't. I think they've been too banged up. There's too much that's gone on there, and really, sorry, you went overboard on your signings right from the get-go and put yourself in a cash-strapped situation. To me, it still falls towards management more.
I don't know, Andrew. Is there another team that has adopted that model? Toronto? Overpaying?
Possible.
They're headed there.
It just doesn't work. That's the only thing there, right? And I don't know if their intention was, at first we'll hide Eichel on the ITR and then we'll hide Martinez and Stone there. But I mean, at one point things were going in their favor. It looked fantastic. Like they were winning early on in the season. It's now that the wheels have come off the cart, like that cart's going everywhere but the right way.
That's right.
I'm going to ask you, do you believe that the CH will start next year when the worst roster?
Will they start next season with one of the worst rosters? Absolutely not.
I don't
No
think so.
way. No. As
I
a
don't
matter of
think
fact,
so.
it'll be a very good roster.
Yeah.
It's still early to predict that part over there. If they're going to make the playoff at that moment, because you don't know what's going to happen. Roger said the sick podcast with Tony M have a prospect position expired. KEEFE high statistically on Baron. A great trade for the Abs. By the way, or by the by, I only watched the HAG round table. How about that?
I watched both of them, so yeah, no, it's everybody's got a good view on this kid. It looks good. He's got everybody thinks he's pretty high of him.
Johnny said Gordon said will not look at short fix solution this summer. They are really doing things the right way. You thought about this?
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's thoughtfully laid out. I think they know that the team is not as bad as the record indicates right now, but they're taking the situation that's at hand and they're taking advantage of it in terms of they're going to get a high draft pick from their own standing. They've made some great trades right now in terms of acquiring prospects and, more importantly, draft picks. I anticipate that they're nowhere near done. I think this summer we're looking at least 3 more players that will be probably dealt in one way or another. I'm thinking guys like Petrie. I'm thinking maybe Byron, Armia. We'll see what happens with Price, the Weber contract. So there's a few things there that they're going to definitely address. And then, of course, the not only the draft, where they have enough assets that if they wanted to move up in the draft a little bit, they could, but also free agency. And he's made it clear, Gordon, that he's not afraid to go out there and pick up 1 or 2.
Yeah, I agree with you about that one there.
Great.
Rajesh said, I hate abs. I hate spell check. Better get adding my 1 finger tipping. Roger, use the voice. Just talk to your phone and just tell him what's going on. And maybe
just
it's better
Alexa
about that. But, I'm not better. I only go with 2 fingers, but that's not better. Because my phone does not understand. I cannot talk to my phone when I'm talking because he cannot understand the Frenchy, English, French together. So my phone, he's messed up with that part over there. But otherwise, I'm pretty good about that one over there. By the way, in the morning, I go to the gym. You have a girl from Colombia, and she typed the phone like, I never see someone typing. I have to tell her, I was just impressed. I look at her all the time.
You are.
I look at her for the phone typing, not for what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
she's
reaching for the pen, right? Yeah.
Those people cannot, you know what I mean? Like typing words per minute is unbelievable. It's unbelievable to see that about that one there. Calgary 2-1. Strategic, I'm definitely very curious to see how the new ads management handle the waning years of that price contract. And I want to bring this together about this because he asked this question. I was to ask the question. We can blame Marc Bergevin about all the bad contract.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Price is a bad contract, but you can talk about the Gallagher maybe now the Petrie, and I can go a little bit deeper that with the bad trait about Drouin, right? But he gave us a gold mine about all the draft pick they select for the last 2 years, and that organization started 4 years ago to start to regroup, to pick up a lot of picks. And if you can look all the pick we got under Marc Bergevin for the last 2 years, they blame a lot of demands, but we have a lot of good players came from Bergevin under him until now we get from, it's going to be the first one from Hughes. And that's the reason, because honestly, they pick, the Nylander, the Harris, I can go Mishak, and I can go all something like that. So I think for one reason, Bergevin gave us a good young prospect at this organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He does, you know, I mean, they were good on middle selections. It was their upper part of the selections, you know, the first and seconds for the most part were where they were failing.
The development
you know?
of them.
Yeah. And so, I mean, but when you look at third downward, we were getting surprises, good players coming through on that end of things, deeper in the draft, right? So, you know, yes, they did find talent. There's no doubt. But I think he found more talent on the blue line, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, definitely the blue line is better compared to anything else. So Roger, he gave up on typing right now because he screwed again his comments about that. Here we go, Luciano. If Montreal decide to move Carey Price, does this look bad on them for some giving up on someone he went through some issues with the tuck health? Just curious on your thought.
I don't think they look bad because I think honestly, if Carey Price gets moved, a lot's going to be probably his choice, if you know what I mean. I think they're really going to give him a say in this, to tell you the truth, out of respect. So if he gets traded off, don't be one bit surprised it's Carey's choice.
I agree with that. I was going to say the same thing. If Carey Price is moving, he's get trade, it's because he requests or they talk with the management, is I'm willing to go. Do you know who is really upset right now?
Who?
Ben Chariot's wife.
Yeah. I heard their family's taking, even Ben's taking it hard. From what I heard, the reports are
Montreal, and the question was asked.
Well, at the round table was asked.
What?
At the round table today, that question was asked as well. And they said, if would you look at the possibility of re-signing Sherrod at the end of the year, once the year's over? And he didn't say no. I mean, he didn't say yes. He said, obviously, he gave a very diplomatic answer, but he left the door open.
My point is that when I want to bring Wadu, I said, you know, we said so many players does not want to play in Montreal.
Wow, I'll tell you. Even Lecky, even from what I heard, Lecky kind of took it hard too.
As Johnny said, the free agent market, the free agent market is supposed to be excellent this summer.
That's what they say. That's what I heard. Even at the round table there, they said that it was supposed to be pretty strong. Gordon said that.
Yeah, expensive.
I already said, Price is a terrible contract.
It's the length that is the problem. You know, I would have had no problem with the 10 million part of it, but he went too far with the length of the contract. That's where it became a problem.
But that's everybody got 8 years.
Well, you know what? But as a general manager, if he's seeing how high that price tag is, he's got to look at the player and say, okay, you know what? Your price is high. We got to kind of look out for our interest as well. So it's either. So
he was said, I don't sign. He was said trade. Carey Price,
well, you know,
Montreal with no Carey Price for the last 7-8 years. How Montreal is going to be?
Well, again, it's a decision. You know, like I say, I know he wasn't that expensive on the first contract, thankfully. But when that time came, I still say that's when Bergevin had to stand his ground a little bit, and you had to make a serious decision. I think he was too afraid to, because he falls in love with the players. And I love Carey. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's one of my favorite drafts we've had in years. And but you got to be sensible. You have to look at that contract. And I'm sure, I don't know, you know, if Carey can't understand where the team's coming from, then to me, a general manager's got to say, you know, well, you know what, Carey, we love you, but we're going to have to trade you.
So you're going to give less money at Carey Price, so you give $9.5 million to pick his cement?
No. I wouldn't. I think that was a mistake too. I think that was too high. So I wouldn't have made them.
The Gallagher signing.
You can have a team with $7 million. It doesn't exist. You have only one team does it. It's Boston.
No, but I think what we're trying to say is Carey. I wouldn't have mind seeing Carey at that 10.5 for 5 years, 6 years, if you could have gone in that range. I had no problem with what he got. It's the length. You got to be
But
realistic. The man's
the plan we said to you
he's
now.
34 years old, and he's still got 4 or 5 years left on that contract.
The agent would say no. If you
Well,
want to
then
send me
you
for
gotta-
5 years, I would say, okay, give me $12 million.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you, if you would have sat somebody down that was a little more intellectual, on the intellectual side, like a Hughes, those guys, they would have said, you know what, we got to trade you.
Because he's
Really,
your best
I mean-
players. He is your best player. He should be paid for
Yeah,
what he's
no, we
valued.
know that. We know that, but there's got to be a limit. There has to be a limit. It's like
Boy,
Gallagher, to me.
This is
To me,
starting
for
to sound
Gallagher.
like it's starting to
Well,
sound
you gotta
like
make-
when Subban's contract came up,
That was nuts. That was nuts.
and
Yeah.
and they,
Subban
you
was
know,
that player.
I mean that's a little bit of a different story because it went to arbitration, and he,
Yeah.
you know, he lost and whatever. A lot of negative things came out.
Yeah.
From both sides. You always try to avoid that if you can.
Yeah.
But that sort of started the snowball effect, because at that time, would you have said Carey Price is more valuable than PK Subban at that time? Today, there's no comparison. But at that time, PK Subban was supposed to be our star, our rising star defenseman that was going to be a Norris winner for years to come. And
I
it
still
never
see Price as
materialized.
the bigger deal. I still see Price
Yeah.
as the bigger deal. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think you can't handicap your team with too many
I
high
agree.
contracts, or if you're gonna pay out a lot, like you said, Andrew, it has to be for a shorter period of time.
Right.
You can't.
It's got to
can't
match
give
the
Kev-
age.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's got to match the age so that if there is a lot of injuries in there, you got to take that into consideration, right? And look what happened to Carey. He ran into
Yeah.
big problems injury-wise, and look at where we're at. And, you know, for Gallagher, same type of thing with Gally. And for me, if they wanted to pay him for the pass, give him a check on the side, you know, for his pass play, right?
Yeah,
Simple as
exactly.
that. We can't give you a forward check on what you're going to do at that level because it's too high. We'll give you a check for the pass. I mean, I'm sorry, come up with something, you know.
But the problem, I'm telling you now, he would not sign a contract. He was go UFA
Well-
and leave the building.
Gallagher was expendable at
That's-
his point.
That's
You know what I mean?
that's
Price,
the point.
I
like,
see your debate a little more. I see your debate because he was the most valuable. Price, for sure. No, hands down. But it's the duration. Like if they can't reason with the amount of years, they gotta. I mean, Carey's got to see it now. Like, oh yeah, look at how many injuries I got.
well,
it-
yeah,
it
but you
makes
have to go with the market. Like Seguin
Okay,
get
but-
8
Yeah.
years, Ben get 8 years, Owenson get 8
But
years,
general
Duchamp
managers
get 8
have to do
years,
that too.
Carlson get 8 years, and I can go all the
That's
way
what-
like that. Malkin
Yeah,
get 8
but-
years.
And that's how
Okay,
teams think. That's
8
how
years
teams
is
think.
fine. 10 years is not.
Right. Right.
And at
10
that-
years was too
that
much.
amount.
That's the problem. That's what kills teams.
Let's look at it this perspective. If at that time he would have said, "No, I won't take that amount of money," when do you think we would have got a greater return on Price? Back then, when he didn't
Exactly.
want to sign, or today when he's at the price that he's at the age that he's at, and the health that he's at?
Yeah.
I think
And
we
he
would have got a
seems like a
boatload
reasonable-
back then.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. I think he seems like a very reasonable individual to be able to accept using it, you know, to doing some thinking and saying, yeah, that's quite a long time down the road. So maybe we should cut a few years off that if I want that high of a contract, and then we'll cross that bridge at another point. You know?
And the other thing is, we're looking at it from the perspective of how many 5, 6 years later now. Like
Yeah.
back then, when you said this guy made $10 million, that was unprecedented. Was there any other goalie in the league that was making $10 million?
First one. He was the first one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gator Rock Team, welcome back. He said, do the Panthers trade Orvis in off-season to resign Giroux?
Let's say that again. I didn't catch it.
The Panthers, do you believe they're going to resign Orvis in off-season to resign Claude Giroux?
Will they trade him? I think Hornquist is a UFA at the end of the year.
I'm not sure he is.
No? I thought he had signed a 3-year contract with Florida. This is third year, no?
No, I
Maybe
think he
maybe I'm
considered the
wrong.
contract he was with the.
Oh, okay. With Pittsburgh?
Yeah, one more year, 5.3. That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Will they trade him? Well, yeah, if he's going to then become a UFA, I'm sure at some point they'll trade him. But
They have to go that one because the Barkov kick out this contract next year.
that's
Wow.
So they have to go there, and then the following year is
right. They can't afford
Huberdeau.
Huberdeau. And then they
So
can't afford Huberdeau, so he's going to, Montreal.
Yeah, we can live with that.
I still maintain he's going to land in Montreal.
I hope so. I hope so. And Coach, believe me, we respect your thoughts on Price because I love him too. It's just that I think we got to look at a smart general manager would have worked that a little better.
3-2 now, Carolina with 25 seconds.
3-2.
Cliff Austin said every franchise player always get 8 years. That's what I said.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but
but he got 10.
He did.
Yeah, he got 10 years.
I'm sorry?
No, he got 8 years for
Yeah,
$10 million.
10.5.
Well, it's still too much. And you got to look at where his age ends up at the end of that 8 years, right?
It's the money. I honestly don't think Price back then would have said no to 8 years at $8 million, and he would have been well paid at that time.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he would have walked.
I think Berge, that was the problem with Berge, is he went a little crazy on Molson's money. And yeah, Molson trusted him, and then Molson seen the price tag at the end and the results of what he got and said, oh boy, this has got to stop. Right?
Yeah.
I just want to clarify for I was be sure Andrei Vasilevsky is paid $9.5 million.
Yeah.
Who is?
Vasilevsky.
Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Yeah, now.
Yeah,
But again,
that's because Kerry started that process with gold.
But again, no tax compared to the tax in Quebec.
True.
So, Renault, Carey is handicapping the CH. She does nothing but take 15% cap is rotten. Who was the best player during the playoff last season? Who was the best player last season in the playoff? For Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, it was Carey Price by far. I think if it weren't for him, at least the first 3 rounds.
So if
the
he's
fourth
not
round,
there,
I thought he was
season,
just
what do you do?
okay. If he wasn't there,
the thing is, think about this: we shouldn't have been there. Really, look at our season. If we had been in the Atlantic, there's no way in the heck we would have made the playoffs. So Kerry just doesn't. I love him. He doesn't have it in the season.
Who was the best player? Who is the best player for Montreal Canadiens the last 5 years?
That depends on where you're looking at, because you can't say that Kerry was the best player in the seasons. You can't.
Carey Price is the best player for the last 5 years.
Not in the season. Not in the seasons. Not in the last 3 seasons. The 2 before that, yes. The last 3, no. He lost it in the seasons. That's not.
Is he who? Shea Weber?
He was one of them. He'd be one of them.
Has been very good. Has been very good.
Yeah.
Until the injuries kicked in, Shea Weber was. He was. There's a reason why he was the captain.
Exactly.
Even the Rangers moved on from Lundqvist early. It's funny because I feel like you cannot run a team at $5 million to win the Stanley Cup. It's not make sense to me. The market is not valued that way. If you don't want to pay your players, you're going to have an Arizona team.
That's not what we're saying.
Going to get.
That's not what we're saying. I'll give you $15 million for 4 or 5 years.
You know what I mean?
I won't give it to you for 8 years. That's what I'm saying.
Said I would not do this because the agent would say no.
Yeah, I agree, Coach, and I would probably say the same thing. At that point, as management, you have to make a decision and say, okay, it's time to trade Carey Price. And you would have got a lot more back then when he would have said no to that contract because he was at the top of his game. I think he had won 5 awards in 1 year. And then you would today. Today, you're not going to get a boatload for Carey Price if he goes on the market this summer. You'll get some good stuff. I'm not saying no, but you know, there's going to be general managers that are worried about his health. They're worried. They're going to look at his age. They're going to look at the contract. They're going to want Montreal to retain 30 to 50% of his contract. And that wouldn't have happened back then.
Right. That's really the only point. Like
it's about the length. Look at what the Islanders did with their goallie, DiPietro, when they signed him to how many years was it? 15 years. And back then, I think it was $6 million. And then he was, after his first year, he was not to be heard of again. And they got strangled by that contract for years.
Yeah. You got to look out for your club as well. That's the catch. Right. I mean, there's a happy medium to be met. And I just think it could have been better managed by far. I mean, it shows the trend was there for Bergevin to do this with a lot of players. This wasn't a one-time thing. He kept doing it and doing it and doing it and wasn't looking at really their true value.
He did it for the right reasons. I think.
I know he loved them.
I mean, this is a different story. Or we're off topic here, but I think the fact that there was that emotional component from Bergeron with the team and with his players, I think that's to be admired in a way. It's not good business sense, I'll give you that, but we don't see that too much anymore in the NHL, especially under the salary cap NHL. It's run like a strict business. You're in, you're out. Hello today, goodbye tomorrow, and there's no affiliation to the team.
The other side of that coin, though, the problem with that was, and I get you, he loved certain players when they earned that love, but then on the younger guys coming up, he had his hand in too far. He would not allow the coaches to coach.
Yeah. Or look at the difference between the PR and transparency that's going on today versus when he ran everything. I mean, he was, and I liked Bergeron. Don't get me wrong, but
I do too. I don't think it's all
just
bad.
no transparency. You didn't know what was happening behind the scenes. You didn't, like he didn't really explicate on too many things. It's not.
And you look at his defensemen, although thank God we got a good batch of them, but you look at that closely, that's probably why a guy like Schneider didn't get picked, because he was looking for the mold of himself in the draft a lot. When he went to defenseman, the style he played when he was in Chicago, he was looking at his own mold.
Jordan, I have a question. Is overpaying okay for underpaying them and the print playoff year early in their careers?
Not sure I understand that.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of lost on that one.
Is overpaying okay for underpaying him in prime? I guess that maybe is reference to Gallagher in the fact that he overpaid him when he was being previously in his prime underpaid. No, I don't think. I don't think you should earn a contract based on what you did.
Right.
Just like. I don't know, just like giving somebody a large contract based on what you think their capability will be. Either way, it's wrong. I think it should be performance based. And if you played here 3 years and you've done well, then you've earned that money.
Yeah, I agree.
Nicholas said that's what you got to decide if you pay or if you go somewhere else. You trade him. Exactly.
No, it's a two-way street on that. So, you got to manage well. The players got to look out for themselves. I guess I get both sides of the coin on that, but you can't mismanage either.
So if Price said no, I don't want to sit, do you think any other team in the league would give him $8 million for $11 million per year?
Oh, I think there's teams crazy enough because they don't have the taxes that the Habs have. So I do think there's teams that in the States that would have done it for sure. There's no doubt in my mind.
So you lose him for
I just
UFA because you don't want to give him $10.5 million.
well, you'd be smart. You'd be smarter
No.
again. You get him before his contract's up.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, you don't
his
do this
contract's
when
up,
he's
you
a
negotiate.
UFA.
You don't wait till it's
You-
over. You don't wait till it's over.
Just like we took
Right.
Suzuki this year and decided before his contract was over, we're going to extend your contract because we want you to stay
Right.
with the team. You would have done the
Right.
same thing with Price. Your contract's not up for about a year and a half, but let's renegotiate it. And
you
if
gotta
he
know what
says
he's
no, then it gives you that year to do what they've done to Giroux, what they've done to Sherratt, etc. Right?
Yeah.
You go out there and you see what people will give you, and you're right, Andrew. There's somebody crazy enough to do it. If we lived in the
The 30 other team, everybody in the league would give him Carey Price.
Okay, but
I don't know.
As
But
a
either
UFA,
way,
you're
You
talking
put
about
Carey
as a
Price
UFA.
in the market at 28 years old. 31 team
But
and the 32 is
again,
get him.
had you have negotiated properly, you would have got a trade for him.
Right. Yeah, that's the point. You're right. As a UFA coach, you're absolutely right. Everybody's going to go for him.
But who
Don't
you
let him
get?
go
if
as a UFA.
Who
If
you
it's
get?
the
Jake
year
Allen?
before,
What's that?
You get Jake Allen for 6 years? You're not going
That's
to get
not
the
worth it.
You're not going
There-
to get the
there
top
were-
5 best goaltender in NHL like Carey Price and return. You're going to get
But
a young
again-
goaltender, a guys
Okay.
like, and you never go to get that kind of goaltender.
yeah,
That's-
I know that, but at the end of the day, Coach, let's analyze this. Like, and again, I absolutely love Carey Price.
Oh yeah,
How
so do
many-
I.
How many Stanley Cups has he brought to Montreal?
Right? It's not.
That's because-
It's not one player is going to bring one Stanley Cup.
But when you
No,
spend that
but-
much money on one or two players, that hurts the rest of what you can get on the team.
But again, it's like it's
Right? Same thing with
if you
Toronto.
don't pay your best
Right?
players at the market where the NHL is, you're never going to have a good team in NHL.
But
If
I-
you don't
see,
pay
I-
McDavid, if you don't pay Dressel, if you don't pay Carey Price, if you don't pay Matthews, Marner, and those guys say, oh, I cannot pay them, you don't deserve it. Let's go
No.
with $6 million. Let's go with the second line, the third line, and let's go
Not
make
what
the
I'm saying.
best players. And let's share
Not
the
what I'm
money
saying.
with Anderson, with Hoffman, everything like that. And we go with Barzell. Oh, you cannot get $9 million. I'm sorry, we're not here. We don't pay the players. You can go Edmonton,
what
you
we're
can go
saying.
to Toronto, you cannot. But here, we only get $6 million because I don't want you at 35 years old. It's not a team, you build a team like that. You're going to suffer at some point. It's just signed Boboski
Yeah.
and Florida. 8 years
Oh,
at $10 million.
Yeah, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it.
And that's my point. If
Wow.
you don't do that, you're never going to win anything because at some point you have to pay at the peak of the years. If not, you're going to never suffer about that.
okay,
It's not going to
Coach,
happen about that
Coach.
one over there.
Coach, has Boston overpaid anybody in your eyes?
It's only one team.
Okay, and how many cups have they won in the last
Only
10
one.
years? Well, that's one more than
2011.
Montreal.
And the money was not
That's-
there that time. That
But
time
that's
now
one more
is
than
not
Montreal.
now. It's now about that. At 2011, they have no players, Bergeron, Marchand, everybody at Pasternak. There was other players at that moment over there. But my point
Well,
is,
you know
if
what
you
the thing
don't
was?
follow the market in NHL, if you
Did you
follow
notice
the
something, though?
Arizona market, not a problem. Just send the players right now. Now it's like, oh, next year is Ski Caulfield. We cannot give you $8 million. Go somewhere else. Because now you're going to be 35 years old at the end of the contract when he's going to be at 26 years old. So we cannot do that. We give you 5 years at $11 million, but you cannot get 8 years here. Go play somewhere else. That's exactly what you tell me right now because you don't want to pay someone over 33 years
that's
old.
not what we're saying.
It's not the same thing
That's
because
not.
Caulfield's a much younger man right now.
No,
So
he's
he-
going to be UFA at 26 like everybody else.
Okay,
So what you
but-
do with him at 26, 27?
Okay, but when Carey Price signed for 10 million, okay, that was not the market for, especially for a goalie. That's my point. It's like tomorrow.
That's where it began.
McDavid comes to you tomorrow, coach, and says, I want 20 million for next 10 years. He's your best player. Are you going to sign him?
It depends what's the market in NHL at that moment.
Tomorrow. It happens tomorrow. Let's assume.
Right now you jump for $8 million. But if McDonald's coming to me right now, he said, for 8 years, I want $15-17 million, I would say yes.
Okay, but when Carey Price signed for $10 million, I could be wrong, but I don't think there was a single goalie making over $6 million at the time. So to go from 6 to 10, that's not the market at the time. Had they said 8 million,
he set a precedent.
That would have been reasonable. That's the market value.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I agree with you that 100% that you have to pay your best players. Like if you look at every team, it's structured that way. Draisaitl, McDavid, Bergeron, Marchand, whatever. The Leafs, Matthews, Marner, whatever the case. But I don't think I think it has to be within reach. And if a player or his agent wants to siphon off more money than what the player what the market is at that time, then you say, okay, thank you. I will trade you.
Me, I would give him the money because that's the way the market is.
But look at
if you don't give names, you don't sign anybody over 6 years. It's like, all right, hopefully somewhere else we don't give you money, buddy. Just trade him at 27 years old.
The point we're trying to make, though, Coach, is truthfully, I mean, like Boston is the perfect example. New York was the perfect example. When you have a proper management team doing the negotiating, it's not going to go down that smoothly for the player only. I mean, look at how well Rask. They managed to get Rask. They managed to get Bergeron. They managed to get Marchand. They managed to get Pasternak. Come on. That was because they had good management making those deals to fit everybody in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Weber was a different story. Weber, we inherited. We didn't create that contract. Right, and that was necessitated by having to trade PK Subban at the time.
Yeah,
but yeah, if you look at it, there's another contract that was Weber was fantastic. He was probably a top 3 defenseman in the league at the time when he was with Nashville, but he got 10 years at I don't know what he was making the contract, but it was way too much. That's why now we're in court trying to figure out if he retires, who picks up the tab on the rest of his contract, because it's something that now has been negotiated out of the contract that you can't.
Weber is funny. It was a 12 years contract. Was the time was alluded at 12. All right. The second thing, he got this because the Flyers said him for him an offer sheet.
That's right.
That year, and then the Nashville get that one over there. And then Bergevin might make that contract at the end. So that's what we are right now at that moment for Weber. If he get retired before he finished his contract.
Yeah.
So that's the question. You can maybe answer to that one. What is Weber's status right now?
Well, right now, I don't know. I thought maybe something would have been done right now. Maybe in the off season it'll be done. I just think Montreal holds all the cards here, Coach. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, because if it gets decided through the courts that Nashville is responsible for picking up the remainder of the contract after he retires for, I think it's 3 years. 3 or 4 years, I can't remember. It would benefit Nashville more to say we'll give you we'll give you whatever, a second, first, and I think Montreal could probably get that because it's cheaper to say here's a first than to have to pay out three times, what is it? He's making, I guess, $8 million at that time, so $24 to $27 million. It's cheaper to give a pick, so it would serve Montreal more to just hang on to it, or get that clause voided because they trade him, like you said, to a team like Arizona that needs that contract to get to the floor of the cap, right? And
Yeah.
I thought that's what was going to happen. As a matter of fact, didn't Arizona pick up somebody's contract?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got Brian Little with Nathan Smith
Yeah.
for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
That
kind of surprising.
That kind of sank it for us.
Yeah.
So
But I
when you
think
said Alec is outplayed Carey Price during his career, that's just
First
a
couple of seasons he did. In the early
No.
1 or 2 years.
In
1
all
or 2
fairness,
years.
Halak had a nice run in the playoffs, and it
Yeah.
started by defeating Washington, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Washington was,
Yeah.
I think, the #1 seed that year. I mean, he had a great time, and then it was they had to make a decision between him and Carey, and they did the right decision. I mean, there's no
Yes,
question
they did.
about that.
Yeah.
I try to follow up with everything about that. Sorry, guys, but I agree with Cole. She was a gamble, but Price was incredible. It may be very been healthy. You guys complain about KK for taking the money he's running, and Marchand would have signed him for $3 million. You want to trade him like a business, then that's what you get. Voilà. That's what I said. If you don't pay your player, they leave.
Tell me this. Why did Gordon have
didn't
success
leave.
in Boston, and why did he have success in New York? There's a big difference. What I'm telling you from how I see it is not, it's the management side of things. You can negotiate a contract better, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he will negotiate, but the agent said, "Hey, Andrew, I don't want $8 million.
Again,
I want
see,
$10 million."
I'm not the thing. I know, but it's you're looking at like I'm not the GM, so I'm sure that Gordon would have had the answers for the agent, right? He would have known how to play the other side of the coin on that. I don't have that inside scoop of how you play the opposite
No,
end.
the agent would
of the
get.
coin.
The agent would want to get the most money. It would necessarily stay here.
It was probably Hughes.
It would give you. Hey, $8 million to 10 is $16 million less on his pocket.
Yep.
With the DAX you get in Canada versus the you play in any place in USA, you lose about another maybe 20, 25. So he's going to lose $40 million because you don't want to give him an extra 2 years and an extra $16 million. What do you think he would tell to you? Oh, that's okay because you tell me this. No, so I'm going to leave. I'm not going to sign the contract. I can get $40 million if I can go play in Minnesota tomorrow.
There were outstanding goaltenders around that were, like you said, Bobrovsky, Rask, Lundqvist in New York. There was no reason that contract had to go that high.
I just I don't think we're understanding each other. That's what it is. We're not saying he wasn't the best player. We're not saying that he didn't deserve more money, but that wasn't the market value at that time.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. And if, like I said, if a goalie or a player comes to you today, like I said, let's go back to the example of McDavid. If tomorrow he says, I'm a free agent in a year, I would like $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I am certain he's my best player, yes, but you'll say, I can't afford $20 million when my cap space is $80 million. I'm going to have to trade you.
Yeah.
As much as I hate. And you know what? They'll get whatever. They'll get 4 firsts, 2 seconds, and a prospect, and that team will advance.
Yeah.
And whoever decides to pay McDavid $20 million, you'll see what happens to that organization over the next few years.
I agree. Totally agree. I think that's, an 8-year contract is something that has to be done at a younger age. That's just my only point with that. It's you got to match the years of where he's at towards the end of that contract, his age, what he's going to been gone through. And when you looked at it long term, you go, there's a lot that can happen. And he's now considered an old man. at the end of that contract. So you got to use it. That's what I'm talking about. As a GM, he should have thought about those things towards the end of the contract. Maybe he could have wound it down towards the last 3 and just made it a little less money towards the last.
And again, I agree. You have to play. You have to pay your best players. No doubt about it. I'm not saying everybody. There's $80 million. I got 20 players. Everybody gets the same amount. That's not the suggestion. If you have 2 or 3 superstars on your team, you got to pay them. I'm just saying it has to be at market value. They can't come to you with a ridiculous amount.
Exactly. And I mean, age plays into it. Everybody knows a guy winds down when he gets to that point.
Yeah.
Dawson Sport Corner, welcome aboard. NHL Hockey News Report. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us, Mr. NHL.
Welcome. Welcome.
We hardly did anything. Blackhawks is upset about his team. Then John, I think it's a new NHL veteran. He used to have inflators. Jordan said, I think this is a new NHL veteran used to have inflated the salary for the past consistency. Now you have to pay the talent. I hope you can let it stick for a few years. He talked about the generation. Now you pay your player at 22, 23, 24, like happened last season in NHL now, and not wait when they get at 28, 27, 26 to not finish at 35, 36, 37.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Tibetro is my last name, but you need Rick to get $15 million per year. But that's another story. Like Gary, you guys like Gary, pass to you. All right, you and Renault. Look, I think the Stanley Cup argument is weak. There have been a lot of Hall of Famers cannot bring their team a cup. About that one over there. The PK Subban's application taught Montreal not to pinch the penny pinch their players. About the PK Subban.
It's not about penny pinching. It's making a contract like that at the right time, the right age of the player. He's got to be younger. If you want to hit a contract like that, get him when he's around 23.
Yeah. Zef Sako, did Toronto and Edmonton want anything lately? None. I understand Zef about that one there. But if you don't sign Tresalo at $10 million, he's going to play somewhere else. If you don't pay McDavid, he's going to be someone else.
Yeah. Well, you got to, again, you still got to use common sense. Common sense still plays into it. What a guy looks at me and he says, I'm going to be 50 by the time my contract ends. I want $12 million a year. I'm going to do that? No.
Yeah. The Rick Connor, Luc Lafortune is on blue. Connor Rouge, Renault and by poverty, fix the problem. You get them within a year plus bonus. We need 4 guys to make natural. Allow me, I think.
Toronto, perfect example.
Renault said Coffee will get 8 and 8.
He's young though. He's young too, so that you can pull that off with him. I believe
he still have 1 more year after next year.
I think he's due next year. I thought.
No, he got DLC.
The end of next season.
They can extend him next year, but he's still got 1 more year. Yeah. As
Okay.
a matter of fact, that question came up today, and Gordon answered it perfectly. He says, "Yeah, we'll see. You know, like he's got 1 more year," and he left it at that. He didn't say, "Oh yeah, we're going to give you $20 million for the next 10 years because you're one of our best players."
Yeah.
Longwist signed before price, I think 8.58, but by the end they kick him out.
Lundqvist signed before price at 8.5. No.
Longwist signed for $8 million, 8 year for 8.5. So at the end, he kicked him out.
What do you mean they kicked him out?
The Rangers let him, they trade him, or they let him go to the Washington Capitals, and then he got sick, and then he never played with them.
Oh.
Question. If Cole Caulfield achieved a 50-goal season, does he get an outrageous contract?
Again, outrageous. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not explaining this properly, but I mean, you can't be handcuffed by a one individual. Like, if Matthews in a couple years goes to the Leafs and says, "I want X amount of money," and first of all, they got to look at their salary situation. They're not going to have very much available to negotiate that. Number one. Number two, you know, if he's asking way beyond the market, somebody will say, "You know what? I'll trade you for somebody else that's maybe not at your level, doesn't score 60 goals, but will give me 50 goals, and I'm saving $10 million."
Yeah. I mean, you've got to match when the age becomes unrealistic for the contract, right? You really, it adds up, you know?
That's why he get his contract. He signed a contract at $8 million for 7 years, long risk.
Yeah, and $8 million for a price, 8.5 even, would have been market value. Not $10 million.
So at that moment, when he signed contract price, Logve was the best at 8.5.
Yeah.
So he signed him only $2 million more.
That was the market value.
And we're talking about one other goalie, right?
Yeah.
Other goalies are that were very good were making around 6 to 7 million.
Oh, Logvis was the biggest one at that moment.
Yeah, that's my point. And so that's the market.
Yeah. Why'd we go over that?
Because he was the best goalie in the NHL.
I see there's being at a level, and I still think I wouldn't even, you know, there's a time you could have looked at when they played against each other, and Lundqvist was just as good of a goaltender. You know, really, he was in that top echelons of goaltenders. So I think you're getting carried away when you want to up the money to that degree. I mean, look at Tuukka Rask. I mean, there's people that would debate that he was better than Price. So, you know, really, he's beat him in the playoffs. Right?
Renault, 40 million at 7.87, maybe 13. Renault, I agree. Nicholas Weber is retired. Christensen, guess qui draft Marchand, Gessel, the draft for Rask in 2006 is Jeff Gordon. Yes, I agree with you about that one. How much is Chesterkin worth on the open market? How will you sign him for?
Well, who's the highest paid goalie right now?
Exactly.
Who's the highest paid goalie right now?
Is Price still the highest, or is Bobrovsky ahead of him now?
I know, he's a Price.
Yeah, it's still
Price. Still the highest? Yeah.
So $10 million, you want to go to 11?
And then, you know, this is good because, like I say, we're all debating this, but the league is now looking at goaltenders are making too high of a contract for what the league can afford. So they're looking at trying to get that to balance. So it doesn't mean it's going to come down the way we think it's going to come down. Maybe as you know, the inflation and contracts go up, it might just level out.
Yeah. Your point of view is this part, right? Is I think if you, I saw someone an equation where you have 20 contract, but you have like 20 spot on the team, right? So you have 2 goaltenders, 6 defensemen, first line, second line, third line, fourth line, center, right wing, and left wing. And you have $81.1 million to spend. Now we saw, okay, goaltender number 1, it's $7 million. My goaltender number 2 is only $3 million. I cannot spend over $12 million for my duo. And then you go with the first defenseman, it's maybe $7, $8, $9 million. So to follow with that part over there, it's just again you give him $11 million. And you have to go under $30 million. Your backup goalie cannot make more at $2 million.
You're right.
That's where the problem comes in.
But That's my point. That's why even though Shesterkin is the best player, if he comes to you tomorrow and says, I want $14 million, he's your best player. By definition, you're saying we should be paying him. But I'm saying in today's cap, you can't do that. Like if it was like once before the cap, by all means, you want to give him $30 million, knock yourself out like they do in the NBA and Major League Baseball. Whatever the market commands, and if the team can, but we wanted parity with all the teams in the league. We wanted this situation. So now we're subjected to that salary cap, which right now is just over $80 million. And so, as coach said, if I give $9 million to my goalie, then my backup can't make more than at most 1 or 2 million. Because otherwise I'm going to throw my entire
That's
salary,
exactly what we're saying. Yeah. Balance it out a little better, and so that everybody, you got a half decent level for your starter. Same thing with your defense, but it's got to be balanced out that you can put a half decent product out there. Even the backup's got to be all right, if you know what I mean. You don't want the bottom of the barrel, right? So there's got to be money freed up for him too, and that's the point of it. If these guys get super greedy, your team's messed up if you allow it to happen, because then you can't, facilitate the cash to the other areas of the team where you need it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That becomes an issue, right?
Christensen said draft Fisher, Colin Maxwell have draft Fisher. It's funny you talk about Fisher. I watched his NHL draft when they pick him. He's the only player who did not make the NHL when he got him, and they let go Claude Giroux.
I know. It's remarkable when you look back at some of these draft years.
About that one. Yep. Now Detroit is only 4-3. So
See
right in our top,
Price.
now it's 5-3 because I'm not there. Maybe I will be 6-4 in the next 3 minutes. Comme go the crest on the jersey remain the same. Plus come et go, but the crest on the jersey and the sign no name is what mark the logo and fun. Now it's 6-3, by the way. A good question to head coach and then Drew settle the salary debate. Let's look at the thing who lose talent. Montreal had problem retaining. We need to pay the players. The NHL should have a system in place for the current exchange between USA, Canadian, and everything. Zeph talked about this a long time ago, but I think that's a problem they talk a lot, right? That the fact you in Canada you have more tax to the USA, and then in USA you have different states have more tax to another one over there. That's the biggest problem, I believe, overall the league. I think I could be wrong here, but I think that's not helping the rest of the league at some point.
Well, that's why we're not attracted. It's hard to attract UFAs, right?
Right. Yeah. It's got to be addressed at some point. I mean, thank God there's parity. Just imagine if there wasn't. I'm sorry, I don't think you'd have a Canadian hockey team left.
That part, not to open up another can of worms, but that part I do blame Gary Bettman on, because when he was negotiating a salary cap within the league, which I think was fine, he should have taken into consideration the Canadian market and said, whatever. There could have been a sharing process where the excess money gets divvied up by the Canadian teams to kind of compensate for the tax purposes. Something should have been done, because what it's doing is it's destroying hockey in Canada.
Yeah.
Right? When's the last time we won a Stanley Cup? Here in Montreal.
Question about Luc Lafortune. He said, how long can you Weber stay on long-term injury reserve?
Until the contract expires, is my belief.
Yeah, but he's not retired yet,
right?
Because the league did not give the answer about the situation with Nashville and Montreal. When this is done, then he's going to retire. He will say, okay, I'm done. Here we go. I should be retired last year, but the league can debate about the situation with Nashville and Montreal. If not, look, he's done. He's gone already. That's the problem we have
between the doctors and the lawyers, from what I understand.
That's the problem we have right now. Our coach on the money tonight, RJ 6-3 final. Would you give up the last 2 years of the playoff of the New York run? Would you give up the last 2 years of the playoff and the New York Rangers run? I'm not sure about that.
Not sure I understand that.
Canada win. About that one there.
Oh, the Canes.
Yep.
Hurricanes.
The Calgary contract was a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, it was too much.
How about that? The market always balance itself. No one would now would pay price that kind of money. Heck, we cannot get rid of the price. No one want to pick up that contract. Not today.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the time that he got the contract, 31 teams, as coach said, would have jumped in line to take it.
Greg
It's
Ford.
easy for the American teams to do that because of, like you said, the tax situation, right? They got a lot more to play with than the Canadian market does. So that's easy for those teams to do that.
Now Renault said Kirill Kaprizov put up one season. He got paid amongst the highest in the league.
Well, this will be the second season that he produces.
Yeah. Of course, everybody pay the best players, just not overpay all the time for agent star. That's just dumb and one of the reasons I don't want Letang only if he for the max 3 years a reasonable salary.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Did they? I picked Carolina to win tonight. Run, looking good. Tampa falling off.
I don't know. Yeah, right now they are. I'm not impressed with the way they're playing lately, but they're the champions until otherwise said by somebody.
Yeah.
Adam said the Jet are winning 3-0. Vegas are going to get shut out for both night.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know what?
Adam is from
predict the
Vegas.
wheels will really come off the cart after this game. Things are going to go south for them quick.
I agree.
What I was trying to do, Adam, he became exactly a really Canadian hockey fans. Like, when he not go to wood, he's upset.
Well, justifiably, right?
Yeah, I know that, but that's why we are. Pierre Martin, bonsoir tout le monde. Hello all. Pierre Martin, welcome aboard. And are you ready? Put your glove on. Renaud, Piquet was the right age. And who scored Evander Kane again? 14 of the season.
There you go.
Wow.
I
That
knew
was a good move on their behalf.
He'd be a great pickup for Edmonton. Just
$1 million. Or two, maybe. Before Matthew superstar like Piquet signed a bridge first because of the NHLPA.
I think that's right. I'm not sure. I think they once they signed usually it was a 3-year bridge, 2 or 3.
I believe.
No, he said he signed a bridge contract. He did not sign at 8 years. He signed at 5 years.
And that's more realistic.
So what he did, he signed a 5 years. That's what he's talking about. Yeah, $11.6 million. So when he signed, it was.
He was still.
It was $11 million, and it was well, how easy. I cannot see the age right now. 24.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But again, he got $11 million.
Yeah, but at least the term is at least he's not 34 years old at the end of it.
No, but the next contract, what he going
to
do?
Address it. Well, the next contract is the time to trade him if he's getting greedy, because his career is going to go downhill.
He's going to be 26 years old. He become UFA.
Oh, 26. Okay, I thought you just told me at the start of the contract he was 24.
Where Michael Dividend is coming, so let me continue talking.
Yeah, well, he was young. He came in. Hey,
hey, Mister.
Hey, Michael.
What are you guys doing?
We need a referee. tonight.
What happened? You guys arguing?
Well, we're supposed to be analyzing the trade deadline and the trades made and give it a grade. We never got around to it. We got
We did not
stuck on
start
Carey
yet.
Price.
We did not start yet.
Oh my god! Did you?
We
so
got
you
stuck
see-
on Carey Price's contract.
So how much is left on it? 4 years or 5?
He's got 4, I believe,
For a year
years.
after the season.
at 10.5, or I think it's 10.5.
Yeah.
I think he's going to
And
make
how
a huge
old is he?
36 or
He's-
something.
Thank you.
He's
No, I don't- yeah.
yeah, he'll be fine.
He's 34
gonna-
years old.
34,
only
yeah.
34?
He's 34 years old. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 after the season. After that, so he'll be 30. He's going to be 39 years old.
Well,
Going on his
I
10th.
mean, is he gonna? Do you think he'll get a start in the next week or two?
If he starts next
Maybe
season,
in April. In April, I think he might. That's the intent.
Yeah, because we're like a week or two away from that. Because it sounds like he's
Yeah.
been practicing, so
Yeah.
I think he'll want to come back and get a start or two in. They're, I mean, look, I think they had a lot of guys that were out. I mean, you lose Deno, you lose Weber, you lose him. You know, they traded Toffoli, obviously. But now, I don't know, Suzuki looks good, and Caulfield's where he should have been at the beginning. They'll get a couple.
Do you
they'll
think?
get,
Do you think by the end of the year, Caulfield finishes in the top 5 for rookies?
You never know. He might. He's already got what, 13 goals.
I think he's in 8th or 9th spot right now.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right where he should be. I think he was mishandled. They need to keep playing him with Suzuki and stick with the lines. The lines were erratic on that team. They picked up
Yeah.
Justin Barron, so that gives them some hope for the future. I think that's a great pickup. A guy that, at the worst, I think Justin Barron's a top 4 in the NHL at some point.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, he can run a
That's
second
great.
power play worst case, and maybe he's a top 2. You never know. But I think realistically, he's a 3 or a 4. He's a great right shot option. I've always liked him. His draft year was I can't remember if it was a concussion issue, Pierre, or was it knee? I can't remember. But in his draft year, he was injured, so there were some questions.
who?
Justin Barron.
Barron.
Justin Barron?
Yeah, when he was
Yeah.
drafted in his draft year, the reason he fell.
Yeah.
was-
He
was
played only
because of-
32 games. I think it was the year before, but you're right. He
was
missed.
a-
He
Yeah, in
played
the draft-
almost like only the half of the season.
Yeah. So there was a lot of questions just because of that. And when Colorado grabbed him, it was like, ooh, like that guy is really good. Like you got a great pickup. The question is, can he stay healthy? And so as long as he's healthy, he's had a really good rookie year in the AHL. I think he's played 46 games in the AHL and he's got like 20 points.
Yeah, right now he have 20 points and 45 game, 5 goals, 15 assists.
Yeah,
He can
so
score. His skating is amazing.
excellent skater. He's a good shot from the point. I don't know if he's got like a heavy shot, but it's hard and accurate. Like he can get it to the net, and he's smart with the puck on the blue line. So I don't know. There's some hope there. I don't know if I'm as high on some of the other prospects, but if they get the first overall pick, they'll get a decent guy in Shane Wright. And if not, then they'll still get a talented player. I just don't know if they'll have an elite player.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they're worse unless they really climb in the standings, which I doubt. Worst they'll be 3rd pick. So you almost can't go wrong with those first 3 that are available there, whether it's Slavkovsky, Geeky. I mean, Cooley's a little bit small, but he's good. He's good.
I'm not sold on Geeky being top 4. I think that really, if you can get Nemec, you
I
got
have a question for
another
you
guy.
for the people. I think it's great one over there. Maybe each one we say yes or no, but Francois says goalie should never be the best paid player in the team. I don't answer all at the same time.
Should be your best player. I mean, like if you've
These
got
are- He's your last
Yeah.
line of attack.
I mean, let's look at the opposite. Let's look at Edmonton. Let's look at Detroit for the last 12, 15 years. They can't get out of their own gate. So, I mean, you've got Vasilevsky in Tampa. What does he make? 9.5?
9-5.
Who makes more than that? So 9.5. Does Kucherov make 10?
Hmm?
Does Kucherov make
Kucherov.
10?
No, I don't think so. I think he's just under.
Or what do you make?
So is that the best paid player on Tampa?
Vasilevsky?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
So there you go. He won 2 cups in a row, and he's only what, 26 or 7?
He's 27.
So your theory's wrong.
Kucherov is just signed at 9.5 also.
Whose theory is wrong?
Yeah,
Whoever
nobody
said
at
that
$10 million. So he's at 9.5.
Somebody said-
Vasilevsky at 9.5.
You're talking
Yeah,
about
but-
American dollars compared to Canadian dollars too.
Well, I don't know
And
if there's any
tax system.
Canadian contract.
It's
No,
not
I'm talking about
American.
the tax.
It's all American. It's all American.
Yeah, no, but I mean tax systems come into play.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
So it's, a lot of players are way more attracted to go to the States.
well, especially
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
Florida and Vegas, I can see being 2 top destinations. You know, California is whacking.
LA.
everyone.
Yeah.
So I still stick to what I believe in.
K-Labs, welcome aboard. I tried to get a question here. Big win again to Philadelphia. K-Labs 6-3 Detroit. I think Raymond have at least 1 goal. It's 20 of the season, by the way.
Verona had 2.
Michael and every one of you, why Carolina trade for Max Domi?
Don't know why they did that. I don't know why they did that.
I think. Well, I thought they needed some secondary scoring. I know they're a deep team, but they just haven't been scoring with the same proficiency as some other teams that they're in contention with, and I think they're just banking on the fact that they know he's capable of maybe returning to his previous form when he was with Montreal and initially even with Columbus a little bit, but I doubt that happens. I can't see him really
Where does Red get-
tipping
I don't-
the scales.
So, I mean, you got the first line with Aho, Teravainen, and Jarvis has been playing up on that line instead of Svechnikov. You got
Yeah.
Nekesh, Trocheck, and Svech on the second. You got Niederreiter, Stahl, and Fast on the third. You got Kotkaniemi, Lawrence, and Stepan on the fourth. Where does Domi fit?
That's my point.
I think they're looking at the third line, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check.
This doesn't seem to
So
fit
you-
though.
He's
That
not
seems-
going to be a center over there. He's going to be more like a winger.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to play him instead of Jesper Fast.
I don't see why him or the fact is speed, but he have only 1 goal the last 31 game.
Yeah. No, they didn't do it for his current performance. I thought they did it just for addressing the fact that he may add a little bit of grit because he does have that edge to him.
Yeah.
But also he's got speed, so I mean, it could be useful. But I think it's more based on what they think he could do rather than what he is doing. I don't think it was a good move, though.
What's this comment mean? I don't understand it.
Run. Oh, maybe he's addressing somebody else in the chat. It's a run.
Well, Kirill the Thrill has shown he's the real deal. I mean, I think every dime he got was worth it.
Yeah.
So if anybody's concerned about that, it's like, oh, we've only seen a small sample. This is a 24 or 25-year-old guy that's like lights out, elite. This is Panarin. This is Pavel Bure. Like, he's everything.
Yeah, but I think what we were saying before, Michael, it was maybe we weren't understanding each other in the perspective, but we were referring to Price when he signed his $10.5 million contract, which would have been about 6 years ago.
Yep.
And so at that time, I was thinking he was overpaid. He was overpaid because that wasn't the market for a goalie, $10.5 million. Yes, I agree that your top players should be paid, but you have to work within your cap. And if somebody comes to you tomorrow and says, I'm the best player on the team and I want $15 million, then there comes a point where you have to cut the umbilical cord and say, well, that's fine. I'll have to trade you.
But I think the reality is is the franchise there. You saw it. They went to the final because of him, right?
Yeah, 1 year, yeah.
And they lucked into getting in. They lucked into getting in the playoffs last year, because if they had been in the Atlantic, they wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, they definitely were affected by that little COVID run, right? They had a lot of guys out, and they had to play a whole ton of games in a short amount of time. They snuck in, but then why did they go to the final?
Well, Carey Price is we've all said he's a playoff goalie, right? He's a playoff goalie, but it's his seasons that have gone down.
If you look, exactly. Right? If you look at his analytics the last 4 years, or actually 5 years, I think he's had 4 average years and 1 good year.
Yeah.
And again,
he's definitely.
I love Carey Price. I'm not trying to put him down in any way, shape,
or form. He's my favorite player on the team.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's our best player. But I
think about who else has been in Montreal the last 6 years. Like nobody. Like what do they have?
Well, Weber had a good contract, but that was about it.
Yep, and he deserved it too. Like that he showed he was the better of those 2 players. He's a leader and a warrior.
PK Subban didn't deserve his, though.
That's my point. PK got 9, and how did that turn out? Bergevin was right about that.
Yeah.
They got the younger player in Nashville, and he lasted 1 year. And they gave up their captain for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the only thing that Intertap and I were saying was just the fact of his production seasonal-wise, and at the time his contract was done, it wasn't at market.
What's the problem with Toronto?
They've overpaid their top 4 players. That's
no goaltender. What's the problem in Edmonton?
They did have a goaltender.
They have no goaltender.
Well, I think
Campbell is got rid of Anderson.
My point is like you said, is a franchise players. Yeah. Look at Vegas right now. What's the problem? No goaltender. What's going on in Philadelphia? No goaltender. And I can go all the way like this, at least 20
we know, and we're not debating that a goalie isn't supposed to be your top. That's not what the debate has been. We're looking at when the contract was done, where the market was, and you've got to look at the whole picture of your club.
The market at that time is $8.5 million. He got $2 million more.
Well, actually, we said, exactly. For a top goalie, and yet Lundqvist and Rask weren't paid that.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
What was
they weren't paid 10.5. They weren't paid 10.5 at that time.
No, they had 8.5.
Right.
Yeah, and that was
Carey Price is 10.5. Love him.
The difference.
But again, in New York, is it Lundqvist the franchise players, or he was something else, someone else?
I mean, he took him to a final.
It was him.
For sure.
I think that's the whole thing, is what we're trying to get. He went above what the going rate was of the elite. Right? And really, like I say, I mean, come on. We got to one final, and I love Carey, love him. We got to one final by luck. One final by luck, because if we hadn't been in the Atlantic, we wouldn't have got that shot. How did he do in the last 4 seasons?
But again, who did you not get because you had him at 10.5?
Who did we not get?
He
Well,
didn't
actually,
cost any better.
I can't defend Bergevin, if you know what I mean. I can't defend him because I think that's just it. There's players he didn't even attempt to go for.
Well, he never in his 9 years did he get the number one objective, which was a number one center on this team.
Yeah.
He failed year in and year out of getting that objective. That was the
I always
We've
look
always
at
needed a top goal scorer. We've always needed a top goal scorer. Look how long it's been. Mats Naslund was the last one. Mats Naslund, Stefan Richer. You know what I mean?
The best contract
That's a
was
long
Scott
time.
Gomez.
So again,
Who?
I think the
Scott
question
Gomez.
is, who did he pass on? Like, who was the number one center he could have brought to Montreal? Because I don't think there ever was one from what I knew.
That's not what we were discussing on the goaltender front. That wasn't what we were discussing.
No, I guess the point is the reason you would say that you should never have the goalie as your highest paid player is because it would
No,
cost
you
you
could.
some other opportunity, right?
It's,
It would be like
no, there
prevented
just needs to be a. Okay, go ahead, Intertap. You want it to go?
No, I was just gonna say, I think you have to work within the parameters of what your cap is, and your best player, yes, will get the most money, no doubt about that. But suppose the best player, and this is the example I was throwing out before. Suppose next year McDavid's contract's up, and his agent and himself come to you and say, "I want $20 million." What are you gonna do? That's your franchise player. Do you give it to him and sacrifice the rest of your team? Or do you say, thank you for giving us the warning, we will look to trade you, where maybe somebody will pay you $20 million? Now, I'm being facetious. I'm being facetious with the $20 million, but even at $16 million, because he wants to set the record for the highest paid player. Do you do it if you're Edmonton?
One player more than what percentage of the cap?
Yeah, there's a percentage attached to it. Yeah,
right?
That's why
There's a cap.
I
There's
made
a limit.
that. Yeah, yeah.
And I think the reality that I go back on is that Montreal was never in a position to have a better player than Carey Price. I mean, their highest draft pick ended up being Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and they went for a centerman because that was, what they needed was a centerman.
That was their need. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the whole thing is, though, we're not saying that Carey shouldn't have been their top paid player. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
saying
just don't
that
think
at all.
I think they're just a weird situation, guys. Like he was the best player and he kept him. He retained him.
We knew that. It's just we thought he got a little more. That's all we were saying. I still think he should have been the top paid player. Definitely. No doubt. He was our best player. But we think it was a little above for the length of the contract.
If he'd made $9 million, I think that would have been reasonable at that time.
Yeah. The length of the contract too comes in place, right?
So what cost a team more? Jimmy Howard at $5 million or Carey Price at 10.5?
I was never a Jimmy Howard fan.
No, like this is one guy. I'd be like, I would pay 10.5 for you to come to Detroit. and what's interesting, if you look at
we said they would pay for it to go there.
That's what I said earlier.
We
said team would take
we agreed.
Carey Price at 10.5.
We agreed.
If you look at Lundqvist's contract, in 2014-15, he made $11 million. In 2015-16, he made $10 million. So yes, it averaged out to 8.5. That was the cap hit. But he was paid 9 million. So he had seasons at those rates. It was just, later in the contract, he had a 5.5 and a 7 that brought the average down.
By the way, Michael,
that's exactly what we were thinking needed to be done with Carey's contract.
So that's 10.5 every year.
What's that?
Doesn't Byron have a blood clot?
For his age, if it would have tapered to his production.
But it does. So if you
really.
look,
because I'll tell you, for the last 4 years, all seriousness, he's not been worth 10.5.
But he's not getting 10.5. He's being paid 7.5, 7.5, 8.5, 7.5.
Well, that's what I've seen on paper, 10.5.
That's just the cap average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So he got.
So I can only go by what I've seen, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can see if you look on his contract, In 2018, he signed that, and he had a bonus of 13 million, and his base salary was 2. So that's the way it was structured.
Yeah.
So he got a giant bonus for signing and staying, but the base salary was actually only $2 million. So it's kind of interesting how they did that.
Yeah.
And then the same thing the second year, right? So it was actually set up as bonuses instead of base salaries. Base salary, shockingly, right through the whole contract is $2 million. How the hell does that work?
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
know.
But on the books, they're counting it as 10.5.
It averages out. It's so interesting. I wonder why they did that.
So it's so messed up.
All right, let's move on because now a lot of people have a question about this. First of all, it was not concussion, it was a blood cloud for Justin Barron.
Blood clot.
About that. Frank said, guys, your prediction, who do you think will surprise in the playoff? Any specific one-team example, each one of you?
Minnesota.
I think Minnesota.
Minnesota.
All right.
I agree with you, Intertab.
How you can do 3 versus 1. I would not go with Minnesota. I have to go with Minnesota now.
With what?
No. Well, who do you think, Coach?
No.
The Buffalo Sabres are going to
about that one.
surprise everybody. They're going to show up in the playoffs.
I go with Toronto.
You go with Toronto?
Anything past the first round is a shock.
Yeah,
I
that
go with
would be a
Toronto.
surprise.
Good
would be
evening,
a
everyone. What do you think, guys, about the Raquel trade for
Great
Pittsburgh?
move for Pittsburgh. Great
Yeah,
move.
I think it was a great trade right down at the end of the wire, like to pick him up. It's one of those usual sneaky picks that they make, Pittsburgh.
Super sneaky. Fits their system. It's another one of these guys that people don't give credit to. He's capable of scoring 20, 25 goals. He's fast. He's a 200-foot player. He can play center or wing. You can move him up and down the lineup. You're like, he's a prototypical Pittsburgh Penguin. And you look at him and you go, how the hell these guys win all these games? They win 6-1.
And 35% of his contract was retained.
Right.
Exactly.
And they gave away, what was it, 3 players and a pick for him? So really, money-wise, they gained.
I mean, look at here's another one where they were last year, was it last year or the year before? And they got Jeff Carter and like, oh, that guy's washed up. Never mind.
Last season.
They have Malkin and Crosby out at the beginning of the year. And who's their number 1 centerman that plays that way is Jeff Carter.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
That was a good pick. It's a good pick. I think the Rangers helped themselves as well.
Yeah. The Rangers are scared.
Yeah.
He lost tonight 7-4 against Devils.
Don't understand.
Yeah, that's because they push Shesterkin.
Yeah. He liked to do that. He just liked to steal the puck. He said Anderson was not good enough for Toronto. Who is laughing now? Is the one to pay the goaltender. I just said what he said. I'm not said anything else. He just wrote about that one there.
He's really right. Like Freddie Anderson, we were like, why are they not bringing this guy back? He's better than what they have. But I will give credit. Campbell is legitimately shown he's a number 1. Because I don't think the defensive play in Toronto, the personnel's fine, but the defensive play in Toronto removes respect. It's like fire wagon hockey. They batten down for 20.
The only thing with Campbell is he has to really work on his self-confidence. I think he's his biggest enemy right now.
Is he hard on himself?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you ever listen to him in the conferences after each game that he loses or allows a goal that was weak, like he really gets down on himself. I mean, at first it was one of those things where, he's taking the onus of the game. And now it's become like, I need to be better. And it was my fault. I let the team down. And you can't go like that. You have to be confident, especially at that position.
After we have a question from Adam. Michael, what have you been hearing today and tonight about Dadonov trade?
I'm so confused by what's going on with this. So it sounded like they traded him.
Yeah.
And then was it rejected by the league?
No, it was rejected by Dandanov because he didn't have Anaheim as one of the teams in his no trade clause. Like he didn't declare Anaheim as one of the 10 places that he would be willing to be traded to.
Well, good for him then, because they're not going to make the playoffs. They went from being a 650 team to back to, below 500 almost. And thanks, there's another team that needs a new coach.
DeBoer?
No, DeBoer's in Vegas.
Well, that's where Dandanov is, isn't he? Or
no, I meant Anaheim with Dallas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, apparently they're saying that clause originated when he was still in Ottawa and he was traded to Vegas, and Vegas had no recollection of that being as part of the contract, which I find hard to believe. So somewhere along the line, there's been some kind of negligence going on.
Man, Vegas is looking rough on. I really question all along. Just if Jack Eichel, you don't go, yeah, this is the savior. And then the whole Fleury debacle, and
yeah,
I know people
that was the worst.
It's just crazy.
Too many things you can talk about there.
I think they're just going to really regret getting rid of Peyton Krebs. I think he's going to make him eat it.
Yeah.
Wow, Dallas comeback beat Edmonton 5-3.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Who's in net?
No way.
Which superstar goalie was in net for Edmonton?
Kaskinen.
Yeah.
This is Pierre Martin asked how much the Calgary get $6.5 million, Pierre, for Ekstrom about that. Good night, Blackhawks. Good night, Poutine Lizard.
They could have had him.
Yeah.
I mean, when I heard what they turned down, they're like, oh no, we don't want to pay him $6 something. That's Kenny Holland, man. That's what he's.
Yeah.
Hello, we got a husky here. You got an opinion?
Oh, beauty.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. How old?
She's 4.5.
4.5.
Beautiful.
What do you want?
Look like it's 3-0 the Kings.
What?
I'm 6-1 tonight, Alan Levenyanko said. Zev Lacal Sakiki play 4 line now at the 3rd round, 1st round pick. NA have faith and Dave just got watch.
That's okay. He made $8.5 million.
He's the guy laughing.
He got 6 years and 4.5 or 4.8 yesterday.
Yeah, he's got it made.
Unbelievable. I totally don't get that. But
guy cannot skate at an NHL level.
Let's ask you, Michael, who will come out of the East?
Man,
you need a coin, Michael?
Right now you've got Death Valley with Carolina, Florida, Tampa, and let's not totally, despite tonight, you might, the Rangers on paper look scary because they just beefed up.
Yeah.
They got goal scoring and they got toughness. You've got to applaud Gerard Gallant, who's been drummed out of 2 places. Vegas again, I think. I like Pete DeBoer and Spotter, but I don't think Gallant did a bad job in Vegas, and he did a great job, I thought, in Florida. And he's showing he's a great coach.
And a real dark horse as well. I don't think they will, but a dark horse could also be Boston. I know they're not as deep at center, but they did add a couple pieces, and it seems like Swayman's the real thing.
Oh, he's great.
If he gets hot in the playoffs,
possibilities there.
Definitely interesting. I don't think they're going to do much, but
no, I don't think so either. But the potential's there. Whereas I look at Washington, I don't see that. Pittsburgh could.
I don't see it with Washington or Toronto.
He's saying that Skinner is the goalie for Edmonton, and he's not, guys.
Not yet.
I don't
hasn't
think
shown.
No, I don't think he is in the future either.
I don't think
You
he's
don't?
that. No.
No.
He beat us in the playoffs in the WHL, but he beat Carter Hart head to head. Like, but aside from that, he had a great final. But they had Matthew Barzal too, I think.
Right.
Wow.
Michael, what are you saying about the trade market happening for the trade deadline yesterday?
Well, I thought it was interesting. I think, people invested in kind of third and second line players that were depth players. So there was a lot of that. And, the NHL is a copycat league. So if you look at the team that's won the Stanley Cup the last 2 years, they did it with 8 and 9 defensemen, actually 9 and 8, reversed that in order. So the first year they had 9 defensemen, they had 8 defensemen the following year. So depth was more important than, superstar status. They had their stars. And the third line is probably the difference maker. So I think that's what a lot of teams are realizing. They're trying to reinforce their third line more than anything. Was there a big top line
Player?
I mean, Calgary made a move for Toffoli. That was to strengthen the second line.
But
That was
is he playing second or third line in Calgary?
It kind of bounces.
He's
I don't
playing.
know
He's playing with Monahan right now, isn't he?
is he on third line?
I think so.
Monahan
Coach,
is
do
4
you-
line right now.
No, not
Who is?
Monahan. Toffoli.
For
Is he
fully
on the
play on the
second?
third line.
Third line. Yeah, that's what I thought.
But Monahan,
Yeah.
you draw him at the 4.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened there. I mean, I know what happened. It was injuries, but still. Sean played with Tyler in Ottawa in the OHL. They were line mates. So they had a good relationship. When Tyler got traded there, I texted his dad. I'm like, reunited. Because hopefully it works out as good. And
Well,
he
I
said, "Are
think
you
that was
talking
part of
coach
the
or are you
plan
talking
as well.
Sean?" What's that?
I think that was part of the plan as well. Maybe that would wake up Monahan a little bit, having Toffoli and.
I think Monahan is physical. I think the reality is he's had some crazy injuries that he tried to play through for too long. And then he had like 2 or 3 major surgeries at the same time. He had 3 surgeries at the exact same time. And he's never been the same since.
Right.
And he
Never
said the
say well.
owners need to go to the Magic Well, pick up an elite goalie out everywhere for cheap.
Maybe they'll take Price.
They should've gone-
Alexandre Meilleur have something good. I like more KK at 4.8, DUARTE at 4.6. Have still upside in his game.
Well, we don't know what his ceiling could be, but I mean, this is what he was 3 years here and 1 in Carolina. He hasn't really produced the first round status. Let's put it that way.
No. Christian Dvorak, I would agree, has if you look at him as a player, he's a better skater. He's better in most areas of the game. So I don't know why it didn't work out because I really thought he'd be kind of like a 20 goal, 30 assist.
Give him time. Give him
Well,
time.
the injuries,
I don't think
the
he had a fair
injuries.
shake.
I think he deserves another year. He deserves another year with Montreal, with steady line mates. I think he'll produce.
Yeah, I do too.
Because he's shown it every year. It's not like he had 1 year or 2 years that were aberrations. I think he's always consistently been between like 45 to 55 points, and that's what he is. Like he's ideally, I'd put him as a third line center, and you'd be very strong at that position.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And someone can just give the update for King of Gamer about that enough situation.
So he's a Vegas trade. Are they
go
going to keep him on the roster?
Well, right now we don't have no update. The only update, King, is the NHL did not take any decision yet, so we have to wait what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So there's still a possibility he'll go to Anaheim?
They don't know yet, so that's why they negotiate right now.
It's I would say it'll probably be voided, and that's going to create even more animosity. Imagine you're those players that were involved in the trade, and now you have to go back to your old dressing room and So you guys don't want me here? I get it.
Wow.
It's a mess.
Not a good
It's a mess.
situation.
That's so crazy.
He said a skater, like the one that was not a great skater was Luc Robitaille. He was not a great skater. And
You
then Renaud
compared
said,
Robitaille, who had 45 goals as a rookie in the NHL, and was rookie of the year.
he said he was not a
I'd love
good
to have
skater.
Robitaille.
In a different era and he's he's the greatest left winger maybe in the game. Like, who's better than him?
Exactly.
That is not Gary Kotkaniemi.
Exactly.
Winnipeg 4-0 final. Okay.
Wow.
Just
So,
give you
I
an
mean,
example.
Is Winnipeg still alive, guys?
Right now, he's the backup of Nashville. Nashville used their backup tonight. What do you have win? They're losing.
Are
So
they
you don't
losing?
have a good player goaltender, you lose game. It's just right now. It's 3-0 right there for the Kings in 9 minutes.
Yeah, but
Oh, this
Coach,
isn't going to end, is it?
in all fairness, they played a heck of a game last night, Nashville, and they're on a back-to-back. So they, LA was rested as well. I mean, you can't go by that. It doesn't always pan out.
Andy said gave Devorek time, but let's say KK is trash.
No, I wouldn't say he's trash. He's just, I don't think he's a number 3 overall pick. He's not worth that, and he's not worth the money that he just got. He wasn't worth $6 million, that's for sure.
To double down on that is bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
But he struck the lottery, right? 8 plus this year.
More than once.
The only thing
It doesn't matter what he does.
The only thing we said he was born on the right star. He got drafted third. He was supposed to draft 15. He got a contract, $6.1 million. Nobody gave that money. Now he's signing an 8 years contract at 4.8. The next time, I think he's going to become the owners of the Carolina Hurricanes.
I think you're right.
I can't wait for your video about him at the end of the year.
You might have fingers on somebody.
Renaud said Devorek third center could work.
Yeah.
He would definitely be an above average third line center.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Nicholas talk about no way KK ups Devorek right now. Even Devorek, he was coming back. I think Lucic can skate François. Alexandre said Devorek is not a good skater.
Really?
He's not bad.
He's not bad. He doesn't have
he's
ton
not
of
the
speed,
greatest skater.
but he's not a bad skater.
No, not at all.
Get it all.
François
he's not
bring a good
cake.
point here. My point was skating is not the ultimate skill to play hockey. I think he's
totally disagree with you. Totally disagree with you. Right now, if you can't skate, you can't play.
Yeah,
I agree.
Now he said, my point was the skating, it was not the ultimate skill to play hockey.
It is now.
No, but we talk about Le Robitaille in all those years where the skating was not based on only speed at that time. You can be an average skater. You can score 30, 40 goals if you have a good release.
The greatest left winger of all time, you're right, couldn't skate in an era when it's nothing like now, though. I mean, now it's like table stakes. You have to be able to skate.
You cannot skate, you cannot play right now.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
You cannot follow.
Yeah, it's just too fast.
How about that one there? Bobby Hall, the greatest left winger ever.
Brett Hall was better than Bobby Hall.
Definitely outscored him.
He did outscore him.
Yeah.
Devorek was now a second line center on an average team and a third line center as a contender. But I'm firm believer a player can always improve his game. The best is age. So honestly, Devorek should be a third center, like what he said.
Yeah. I mean, Montreal's loaded with third liners. Let's be real.
He's not old.
Yeah. Farrell said the Kings
By
just
far,
played
he's
the
not.
best period of the hockey this season.
I'm gonna go.
Arizona
I'm gonna
just score
skip
1-0
up,
to 1.
I'll be at the game on Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Chicago.
Renaud said that Drouin is not a good skater, and they were right.
Drouin is not a good skater.
He's
That's not
Drouin's
correct.
He's
Duran's
probably-
skating's not his problem.
No, it's
no, not at all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
decision making. He refuses to give up the puck at the right point, and he's
KK
overconfident.
can
in his
skate.
ability to go- KK can absolutely not skate. KK is like, get out of there. What are you doing? Oh my god! What are you doing, you asshole?
Again, it's Danny bother everybody. Danny, he put his nose everywhere, Danny. Now he's bothered with a dog over there.
Did Danny leave?
Gally Dose, he cannot move anymore. He's still playing but cannot move. Drouin is worth $5 million
look at Gally.
per year.
I have a cat that is mentally retarded sometimes. He has problems. He has emotional problems. He sits over here, and my wife has a purse, and he just peed in the purse.
Don't tell your wife.
How do you not tell her? I'm like, he's sitting there looking at me.
What are you gonna
What
do
are you
about it?
Yeah. I walked over, and he's like, I'm not finished. Like,
So Nicholas, he bring a point here. He said, I mean, look at the footy. He's not a great skater, but still hold his own. You just have to be an average skater if you got other great skill.
I think you're right. He is an average skater, and he's always been an average skater, and he's got above average hands, but his consistency's not there. But when he's on, he's on. And Tyler's always been that way. He's got a heavy shot, so it does. But he's not a horrible skater. He's really improved his skating, which has brought him to average. The other guy who had horrible skating was John Tavares. I mean, he was always a below average skater, but he was so strong and he could shoot the puck. And you're right, he had that sixth sense. But John Tavares worked at it as well. John Tavares got a lot better in the offseason when working with the Power Edge Pro guys. And he's not a beautiful skater, but he's not slow anymore, at least.
Is Jonathan Drouin deserve $5 million? He's worth $5 million.
No.
No. We'd like to have Mikhail Sergachev back.
Francois said, okay, let's be real. If you get to the NHL, you are to them a good skater. But when you said a guy is bad skater, I'm talking about NHL level. KK a bad skater at the NHL level.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch KK, and it's like he's got training. What do you call it? He's like a tricycle. He's got one leg that doesn't extend. It's almost like he leans on the right side or the left side, and he's kicking at the right. It's really bizarre. And his stance is like, normally when you have a wide stance, they're in the train tracks, right? But him, it's like he's got one skate and he's gliding on the other. It is really strange.
No, he said Tavares is really slow. He's slow now. Montreal looking. Question from King said, which kind of player Montreal should look for UFA this summer? He talked. We signed example Letang defenseman, but as a forward, what kind of UFA they should look about, or they can help in Montreal?
Well, ideally, if they could find the number one center, that would be great because it would allow Suzuki to develop his game a little bit more. As we saw yesterday, there can be, and there are gaps in his game as much as he's done well for Montreal. But I mean, who can they pick up? Who's a free agent that's a number one center this summer? I don't think there are. Yeah.
The key will be for them. They need to finish poorly in 2 drafts, but even then, so let's think about who's there. You get Shane Wright. Is Shane Wright a number one centerman in the NHL?
Well, that's my fear, that they might throw him in as their number one, and then they're not developing him properly because of that. I think he needs us. He might start the season definitely in Montreal. He might even stick the whole year, but I wouldn't put that pressure on him to put him as a number one right now.
And I'm not sure if his upside is that or not. I'm really trying to figure that out. I can't figure it out if There's something weird about him. Like when he was at the under 18 camp, our coaches from Everett were there, and I heard other coaches that were there, and they're like, he was the worst player in the camp. They're like, we were going to cut him. We're like, we can't cut him. It's Shane Wright. And then he went in the games and he played great, but there's something weird there. And then when you start hearing the description, like he really struggled to get points this year for a while. Like he was like, I think he's the 5th or 6th leading scorer on his team. Like Chromiak, who I think is a really underrated prospect for the Kings. And maybe it's not in LA, but he had a great camp, I thought, when he was at the camp this summer. He outscored him. There was I think 4 guys ahead of him. Now, one was an overager, so I get that, overage European. And he is probably 1.2, 1.3 points a game, but he's not dominating. So then when you start listening to him, he's talking about, oh, Patrice Bergeron. I'm like, honestly, unless you had told me that, I never would have thought your idol was Patrice Bergeron. So I can't, you know, I think there's real risk in that first pick. So then you go, okay, well, who else is a centerman? Logan Cooley's not going to be a number 1. He might not even be a first-line player in the NHL. Slavkovsky.
So Savoy?
Well, Matthew Savoy has the potential to be up there, but it's, you know, I think people are really underestimating how good he is, but he's not big. He's very small.
He's only 5'10". Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
By the way, Nick Paul scored tonight for Tampa Bay, and CG is excited about
that's why
Nico's turn with Nikkonen and Nikoshin for the third line. Very excited to see how this works.
And then you look at Slavkovsky, and I think the problem with Slavkovsky has Pavel Zacha written all over him. So you're talking about a big guy that, you know, when it gets tight, has a little bit of trouble scoring. So that's not going to translate to the NHL real well.
Is he a winger or is he a centerman?
That's the question.
Who?
Because Slavkovsky has been playing a lot of left wing.
He played winger.
Yeah, but he was meant to be a center.
He's played center. Yeah.
But you know, most of the time he played Team Olympic. Look, Team Olympic was the best player in the Olympic.
But again, this is what I'm saying. Like, he reminds me of Pavel Zacha, where everybody's like, oh, he's 6'4". He's going to be a big-time centerman. Nope, he can't function at center. They put him on the wing, and it takes him 5, 6, 7 years to figure out a way to contribute 20 goals.
And you're not, Michael, you're not high on Connor Geekie?
I think he's got the same problem. His offensive production is not there.
So this is really a rough draft.
It's not a terrible draft. It's the question of when you need a number 1 centerman. I think you got a lot of second-line guys in this draft. Like, you got a lot of guys that will play in the NHL.
Yeah.
Well, it's a step up for us. It's a step up for us because we got a lot of third liners. So, you know, if we can get a second liner, it's a move upward.
I still believe because Shane Wright will be number 1, Slavkovsky number 2. That would be a bit, and then you're going to go with Kiki because he's 6'4", everything like that. But my key on that one, I was 4, 5, and 6. I will go with Nemec, the defenseman, as a right defenseman.
Maybe that's
I'm really
the direction.
that he was top 3.
What?
I'm really tempted, if I'm a GM, to take Nemec at top 3 and be patient.
Yeah. Because he's a big boy too. He's what, 6'2" or something.
He's got great
good
offense.
skater,
defenseman.
great skater.
Very good defenseman.
Right.
Defensive.
Is he the right side?
I think he's a left.
He's
Hello, it's a good question here. Who's more loaded now, Florida or Colorado?
Boy, that's hard to say.
probably Florida, I would say.
Do you think?
Yeah.
The weird thing is there's 2 Simon Nemec's that are 2004 birth year, by the way. Oh, he has a right shot. Yep, he's a right shot.
I will go with Florida, me.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what Pitt, he said maybe he believed Golden Hughes can maybe towards picking Mathieu Savoie.
He might be the most talented player in that group.
Talent-wise, yes.
Yep. It's just like you really worry that he's not.
5'10". Skating, he's not have an amazing great skater.
But would you rather not go for Nemec at this point? A
That's why I'm
right-handed defenseman?
Like, let's say
I
Nemec
wouldn't mind
caps.
having another right defenseman.
Well, I mean, you do have. All right. So what do we got on the right side in Montreal? You've got the new guy, Barron.
Yeah.
Barron, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry
You're
again.
gonna have the right defenseman in Montreal.
Right now,
You're gonna have
Savard.
Barron.
Savard.
You have in the system. You have
Brooke,
I think
Mayu,
Brooke.
Savard.
I think Jack
they're all left,
is
aren't they?
also right.
Look at Mayu.
Is Mayo ever going to play?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so.
He going to
If
stay
he
there.
does-
He's not going to sign this year. And then after that, he's coming back after the year with London. Then after that, he's going to sign up. And then,
Well, I mean,
wow, the San Jose 4, Calgary 3.
Wasn't it 3-1?
Wow.
And Carolina beat Tampa. Okay.
Is Markstrom in nets?
no, is he? Wait.
Let me check.
Maybe. Who's Riddick play for? Nashville, so he was in.
Yeah,
Nicholas said, Michael, Nicholas said Jiricek is better to make.
Sorry?
Wow.
Jiricek versus Nemec.
I think Nemec's probably got more upside. On paper, Jiricek seems like he's bigger because he's 6'3". But when you watch him play, he's going to be a very good defenseman. I'm trying to project upside. There's something about Nemec that says to me he has more ceiling. But I don't think either one, I don't know. I don't think either one will be a number one.
Bad news for San Jose, Tim and Meyer. Knee problem.
No.
Yep. Hopefully it's a sprain, but.
What happened?
And the Seattle
what
Kraken
happened?
tied the game 2-2 over there.
What happened to Miroshchenko? He had good promise, and he seems to have fallen on the charts.
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's just the matter of that he struggled at pros, or maybe they think he won't come. And now I think there's going to be, we're going back to 80sville on Russian guys. Like every Russian guy is going to fall. No one's going to want to risk a pick on that.
Right.
So we're in a weird time.
Wow, 4-3 over there.
Who's in net? Markstrom.
Next round.
So even with a good goalie, you lose. See?
Yeah. Guglielmo, the Conan Storm with Manson and Biram.
We're not letting this go, are we?
Deep for Calgary, for the Colorado.
Sorry, what were you saying, Peter?
Do you see Cole Caulfield, Nick Zuski, and Josh Anderson lead first line on the contending on the best team? And a player among the third? Is there a player among the third as more of the second line player?
To me, the two guys like Suzuki and Caulfield are second line stars.
I agree.
But I think when you come down to big time game and they're matched up against the other team's top line, that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
Douglas Fortune said that Kiki is a Pete Maravlich.
Well, there's your answer, right? Because I don't think Pete was Frank.
Yeah, he wasn't that much of a skater, I don't think.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't, but he had a good knack to go to the puck. He had the size, which allowed him to dominate the corners, dig out the puck, Yeah.
Like, think about Jordan Stahl, and you think about Geeky.
Okay.
Because I think Jordan Stahl, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the offensive production in the WHL. He's got 71 points in 65 games. And he's on a very, very strong team. They're like the second or third best team. It's like Everett, Winnipeg, and Edmonton.
Right.
So I mean, he's got a lot of stars around him, more than the average team, and he's not really producing big time numbers. He's a big
What do you
kid.
think? What do you think about Matthew Joseph with Flourish with the Senator?
It's
I think the
50-50.
change of scenery will help them
Great fit.
for both players. I
Yeah.
think that was a trade that'll help both teams.
Yeah.
I mean, not drastically. It's not gonna, improve them. God knows what. but
Michael, what do you think
it'll
about
help the
Kemel?
players.
I mean, he looks really good.
He started
he's-
well,
he's like-
but he struggled for the last 2 months.
he overall he looks pretty good. Is he an overager?
I don't think so.
He's
No.
a 2004. I think he's April or something like that.
He is April 27, 2004.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you're thinking of maybe the Russian guy. What's his name?
Gov.
Yurov.
Oh, Yurov. Is he older? Is he an 03?
I think he is. Yeah. I'm not sure, but I think he's the one.
And he's moved up fairly high.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot about him this year.
Where's
I don't
this
know
guy?
where he stands in the top 10.
Do you believe Cole Caulfield is the first line prediction?
He could be one day. Right now, no, but I see the possibility there, as long as there's a strong centerman at that position. Like, yeah, I think the current number one line we have with Caulfield, Suzuki, and Anderson would be an ideal number two line.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's Yurov is December 27, 2003.
So he's like on the
2003.
edge.
What?
He's like a late 03.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shane Wright does have a setting of the first line player, but I think it's more likely it would turn out to be a second line player. The problem is that he's only a second line talent we already have. The problem for me was for Shane Wright, he missed full a year last season.
Yeah, that's a good
Like-
point too.
Bizarre. Like why?
He
Like,
didn't
go-
want to
like,
go nowhere.
Yeah, like how many guys went? This is what I'm saying about him. There's something weird about him, about work ethic and doing what it takes to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you watched him
Watch it.
before he went to the OHL, he got exceptional player status, and he was exceptional. But when you watched him in the GTHL, you were like, "Is this guy asleep?" You would see him on the ice and in practice, and it's like he didn't care.
Really?
And I keep hearing that same thing about him. If you go back, you can watch on YouTube. You can watch him as an 04 with the Don Mills Flyers, and you'll be like, "Is he even trying?" And he's still better than everyone. He's an elite, capable talent. He could be that, but there's something about that engine. I don't know what it is.
Luciano asks us this question for you. Do you think Leaf gave up on Dermott, Travis Dermott, or he's just strictly to make room for Giordano?
There's one guy that will forever be linked to Travis Dermott. His name is Jared McCann. And
You're right.
I think for whoever you are, and
Nail
you're
on the
like,
head.
ooh, we got to move this guy. I don't want anybody to remember that.
What happened to Brett Lambert?
Hey, he's still up there, I think. I think he's in the top 10.
He doesn't have a great shot. He's a perimeter player. He doesn't go to hard areas. He's got skill. And he played as a 16-year-old, so everybody got excited. But I don't really know if he's really improved from that.
Is
Michael,
he a 2003 as well?
He
Or
is.
2004? Oh, 3.
03.
Okay.
Michael, what to talk about Eva Gascon, goaltender for Casino Olympic? Do you believe she will be in NHL? First time she got a female, will she be able to be drafted play in NHL?
Is she playing in the queue?
Evan Gaskin,
Yeah,
the
she
goaltender
played.
for the she played last weekend.
I think she lost 5-4 or something. The
Yeah,
team.
5-3, 5-2.
Yeah.
And that's the queue, right? That's.
Queue,
I was
yeah.
thinking of the goalie and what Sarnia was that the other girl goalie that went to camp.
So it was her.
It's the same goalie.
Yeah, and she picked. She was a starter this weekend.
Oh, good for her.
Look at how much sport broadcasting has shown over the last few years. Alan, she played in Casino Olympic. Is it Yorav who playing on that team? They don't have a youth team and only a few minutes here and there on the main team in KHL. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's not getting big time minutes. He's playing third, fourth line minutes in the KHL.
Yeah,
That's
Martin,
not
ask
good.
you, Logan Mayu or anybody else, when he would be ready for the big team?
3 years.
I mean, what are we talking about?
Logan
Right.
Mayu, when do you believe he's going to be ready to play in NHL?
Yeah,
2 to
I
3
think you gotta
years.
wait. I think they're gonna take a really, really a long time with him. He's got all the ability to be a real good defenseman, but he's got that.
On my
pain,
book,
man.
it's 3 years minimum.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
I don't think they'll rush him, and time is always the best cure for the problems he's gone through. So
Yep.
they'll take their time. But you know what? He might turn out to be a steal where they got him last year.
That's honestly, I think he's a steal. If you're
'Cause
just
he should-
looking at talent.
He should have been where? Maybe between 10 and 15th overall, and they got him at 31.
Yep.
So if you want a goaltender, not Carey Price, you can hire Jim Rimmer. Just make an amazing, great save right now.
He stopped the penalty
Now he
shot
just
on.
make a second big save on the back door. Oh my God, he's just still at the game right now to Calgary. Wow.
He stopped Goudreau on that penalty shot.
Yeah, and San Jose
Yeah, we
beat
might as well get
Calgary.
Rasico.
Didn't answer my question, though.
That's true. I did.
What was the question?
The question is
remember.
like, nobody took San Jose tonight.
No. That's why they're winning.
That's
Can you
crazy.
put that last question up, please, Coach?
I don't know yet. Oh, the hit.
No, Danny.
OMG, they hit the cedar.
It's it tonight. Yeah, this guy's amazing. I love this guy. Talk about somebody that can skate. He's tough.
So good.
He can play offense. He can play defense.
Yeah.
Michael, can I ask a off-topic question? Maybe, Michael, you're the best one. You're always with those kids, the Kings. What about ALEXANDRE?
I think they're pretty happy with his progression. I don't think they're rushing him because they brought in veteran guys. When you go through the volume of Kings prospects still not in the NHL, and he's in that mix, it's kind of crazy. I think they thought he'd be a little ahead of where he's at, but not much. I mean, he's a good 200-foot player. He's got good skill. He can skate. This is another guy that will be well suited to a second line role, and he's going to be a second line center. So, do you play him again? You can't play him ahead of Kopitar. You can't play him ahead of Dano. He just was slated for the AHL this year. He'll be fine.
He said, don't be surprised if they trade him and the trade for Chikron.
It's possible. They have so many young weapons like Fajimo, Byfield, Akil Thomas. Like you just go down the roster of guys not even Velarde's still in the mix. I wouldn't be surprised if Velarde's in the mix to be traded for Chikrin. I guess it depends on what Arizona's willing to do.
Do you know why they dropped Byfield and back down to Ontario?
This guy is like very raw guys. They're trying to bring him along. I don't, again, he's a tough one because you see him off the ice and he is an absolute physical specimen. He's 6'5". Carries himself really well. He can really skate. He struggles in tight. He struggles on strength things and he struggles with leg strength. He really needs time.
Do you believe Evan Gaskin would be drafted in the NHL?
Never heard of him.
She's the girl. She was the goaltender this weekend.
Listen, if she gets drafted, someone's being nice. And I picked Seattle.
Tampa Bay, if it was Phil Esposito.
I believe it'll be. But she was not drafted by them.
Who?
Manon?
No, but Phil
division.
Esposito gave her that opportunity to play.
Yeah.
Signed her to
But they
a
never drafted.
No.
You want a better story or?
From Hooters? Go ahead.
She met Phil Esposito at the Hooters, and then the story. And then I just want to finish my story there, but
Well, I really enjoy her on the broadcasts.
yeah,
I think she's a really good broadcaster, and I think she's been an excellent ambassador for the women's game. And frankly, she was definitely had the guts to do what she did because it wasn't like she was an elite goalie in the queue, and then to be thrown into an NHL exhibition game is no joke.
yeah. Well, it was a big team because that time Tampa Bay was just in the league in NHL, and Esposito was in charge, everything like that. So
it was a publicity event.
Pierre Martin, so Logan Mailloux compared to Shane Wright would be right ready for the big team. About Shane Wright, when do you believe Shane Wright will be in the NHL?
Like right away.
Yeah. If Montreal gets him, he's here for the year.
I mean, don't be surprised if he is like Alex Lafreniere, though.
Oh, really? Wow.
He could go either way. I don't know what to make of him. Like, is he a guy that...
You seem a little bit down about this year's draft.
I just have a hard time when I look at the people in it. And it's not that they're bad players. It's if you're looking for... Like, if you're trying to retool and start a franchise, who do you build your franchise around in this draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Everybody that I've heard that's in scouting has said the same thing that you're saying, that this is a much weaker draft than next year's.
It's not that it's a good draft. It's just you don't. There's this X factor. A lot of the guys didn't play last year. Some of them, they played all over the place. And there's just something missing. And where's the star? Who's the real star?
There's no generational player in it.
There is not. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And if there is, we don't know who it is yet.
Look like Bayfield is on the ice right now for Los Angeles, so I don't know. Michael, you would like to know, Nicholas would like to know why you believe Wright is a risk.
His offensive production in the OHL, he did not lead his team in scoring this year, which would have been the year to lead his team in scoring. He had 4 or 5 players that finished ahead of him in scoring. I've just had enough feedback over time on his practice habits. And you can see in his body language sometimes, he's such a talented player. Absolutely not a question there. And maybe he's just different. Maybe he is a guy that goes pro and he goes, okay, now I'm going to play.
From the people said he's one of the best players get out for the draft, one of the most complete players, like 2-way players.
See, this is what I'm saying, Pierre. If he had never said that his favorite player was Bergeron, I never would have thought that. I never would have said that's why you like him. So it's like this new narrative that I never understood until he said it. So then you got to look at him again. And I just don't know if it's expectation of, because he has elite skill, he has an elite shot, he has elite edges, he's strong. You know, he could be that type of player. Like he could be a Nathan McKinnon.
Luciano said Berman made the people from yes. Luciano is the two league, the PWHL and the other league. They're going to try to merge all together. So it's a mess right now, and nobody want really know what's going on over there. Kings maybe right would be Philippe Danault 2.0 possible, but he's not a first round pick if he's Philippe Danault.
Wasn't Danault a first round pick? He was not first overall, but he was a first round pick.
Yeah, 26.
They know
Yeah.
what's it.
Yep.
Luke said that Mayo, Goulet, Romanov, Schoenemann, and Edmondson not bad for the future.
Yeah,
Well,
There's
pretty good.
There's
for a
more
start.
to that.
But there's more than that. Harris,
Ferris, Barrett, no,
Struwell.
Jack, I think, Meilleurre.
Farrell said pandemic makes scouting tougher too.
100%. I think you've got delayed development in players that really a key year for a lot of these guys. And then I don't know. It's like you have an impression in your mind of them and you see them and, maybe they catch up. I think Savoy has that potential that he could shock us all and say, oh, I'm the next Johnny Gaudreau or something like that. Like
Wow.
he definitely could, but he's tiny. You don't look at him and go, he's going to lead my team, but he might. You never know. He has a tremendous amount of talent. And frankly, so does Shane Wright. Like Shane Wright, if he had work ethic like, Crosby or McKinnon, would be a Nathan McKinnon. That's what I originally thought he was like. And then he started talking about how he was more like, he talked about my favorite player is Patrice Bergeron. I pride myself on a 200-foot game. And I'm like, do I have to
Not
watch him
working.
again? It was just like a complete about face, and that was the narrative. So I don't know if that came from him, the agent, what it was. I'm not clear.
Unfortunately, that's I've seen a couple games of his that I just his back checking that he was coach. What you were saying about Suzuki last night, it was the same thing. It was glide mode. There was no back checking, so I got a little concerned when I seen that in his play.
But
So
does he have the potential to do that? Because that could also be something that's correctable, right?
Well, you
Get the
hope.
right
You hope.
coach.
It's just, do we want two players that way?
So Nicholas, go put back his comment for a sec.
Yeah.
So this is the thing about it. So he is rock solid. He has an elite. I think I said this before. He's got an elite shot. He is a very strong skater. He can be an incredibly explosive skater. He's an edge-based skater. He's got those short crossover strides that McDavid has. He's a little, he's like maybe 6 foot, 6'1". He's kind of built like a tank in a lot of ways. But to your point, you see a lot of glide in his game, and that's why I'm like, you're Patrice Bergeron. I'm confused because it was like that's
exactly.
I honestly always compared him before to McKinnon.
Could that
If
just
you
be a
pick
maturity
second with
thing?
Montreal right now, whatever is Safraski, Savoie, Nemec, whatever, do you believe he's going to go Laval or stay with Montreal?
They're not. They can't put him in Laval. They either goes back to G3 play.
Yeah. If he's coming from WHL, whatever it is. Yeah.
And our team is in such bad shape that it wouldn't hurt us to have somebody gain some experience up there anyway.
He needs time back. If he went to the WHL, he'd wreck it one more year. I mean,
Oh, really?
He was, which is not a bad thing. He last year in the shortened year, if you look at his numbers, he was like pretty good.
All right. 10 minutes before we leave the building here, we have to go to the French quiz. It's time to see if Andrew and Michael are the winner last week. I believe they was, or they did run. And Mr. Notap, you dropped the ball last week, but it's maybe the time to go step up tonight to give a chance to win. And we have that's what we have. But one more question before. Where do you see that glide that I see in the offensive zone? One is sneak around for an opening for the shot.
Right, but that space and time does not work at the pro level, man. You got to have the speed to get into those spaces, and he has the speed. And this is what I'm saying. Like even when he was in the GTHL, you'd see him gliding, and then all of a sudden, he's there. So he has all the tools to be great. I just wonder if it's gonna come out. I don't know.
Right. It looked to me like a lack of effort. Hate to say that.
I don't know why,
but could it be maturity?
It could be.
It doesn't seem like an immature.
He would know better.
Yeah.
You've
I mean,
seen
our coaches were at the our coaches were at the under 18s, which is let's compare him to, and he's not the same person, but Olin Zellweger goes to the under 18s and he says, "Oh, you guys like Brandt Clark? I'm better than Brandt Clark." Olin Zellweger goes in the gym. It's like he doesn't care. He's 5'9". He's going to beat you on every strength exercise, on every pull-up exercise, on every speed because he's just that determined, and he's going to outwork you. He's the guy that came to 134 and he comes back at 168, 170. And then Shane Wright's the kid that was 5'11", 175 pounds leaving the GTHL. So he was big early.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes with guys like that, and not that he's peaked or anything, because I think he'll still get better. And he still has the potential to be a super, super player. Like he could be a first-line player. It just, when you don't see that gear, that dedication at the earlier level, it's like, well, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
So you're talking about DNA, maybe.
I don't know what it is. It's something.
Good night, Mr. Farrell. About that, we have to move up here. Before that, who we're missing? We're missing Michael. Michael, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, stay there, buddy. You can cheat. We don't see you, so you can go every question. You'll be fine. So that give you an advantage for tonight. So unfortunately, that's what we at. It's time for the quiz. Oh my God! First question of the night. 5 questions tonight. Let's start with the first question. Montreal Canadiens select 616 players during the NHL draft. How many of them play over 1,000 games in the NHL? The number is 22. Is it under or over?
Jeez.
Exact.
It's coming soon. Here we go. We start with Michael.
I say under.
All right. I'm telling you, he was looking for goal. He had to check the computer on far. Look at over, under. All right, Mr. Inotap.
I'm going to say under.
All right. And Mr. 2 under. Are you trust your body or you go say, you know what? No, I don't trust them.
Under.
Oh my God, you so much under team. He does one scare to do that. Oh my God. Here we go. Because Mr. Inotap and Mr. Andrew, it's over.
Right.
23 players play 1,000 games. We have about a few people.
That. Wow.
Congratulations for the first question of the night. Oh, that's the
like
someone
that.
played the music in the house. Here we go. Question number 2. Oh my God! It's going to be how many players, goalies, and coaches since they are in the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens? How many? If you put all together, the coaches, the players, and the goalies, how many of them play for the Montreal Canadiens or coach? 928. Under, over, or exact?
How many years is this counting?
For the history.
Is it like 100? No.
For 105 years.
105.
Danny said under. Luke said under. Pierre said 1 and 1. Luc Graziano said exact. Adam Berger said exact.
Jeez, I don't know. So weird. I mean, where do you get these goddamn questions, Frenchie?
Yeah, I know. I'd love to know where he gets them.
In his free
King
time.
of King, King got over. Andy said over. Randy Quinn said over.
Oh my god. Oh, no.
François Pitt said over. Oh, Pierre Martin said exact.
Jeez, I don't know.
Here we go. We start with Mr. Andrew.
Over.
Andrew over.
Ugh.
And out tap.
Oh, that's.
So
Are you
hard.
follow your body?
I'm gonna say exact.
Exact. Michael DeVillano, do you follow Andrew? Exact. Exact. And out tap, or you go by yourself?
So coaches, how many coaches would be in the lifetime? There's got to be more than. I think that's over. I think there's more than 928.
You go with over. The answer of this, ladies and gentlemen, one of you is right, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God! It's over. 933 people
Really?
joined that one over there. And King of Gamer and Andy Goivula and François Pitre take the lead at 2 at that moment. That's why we are at that question number 3. Talk about question. Here we go. How many players wear a Montreal Canadian jersey from the number 70 to 99? The number is 52 different players.
Where do you get these?
Under or over? Danny said under.
Let's see who's over.
RG said under.
One.
Stefan Member said over.
Oh my god.
Pierre Martin said 1 and 2. François Pitt said under.
Jose Theodore was what, number 7?
King of Kings said under. Ron with King said under. Luc Lafortune said over.
Oh my god, I don't know.
Pierre Martin said under. Andy yes, he said over.
This is ridiculous.
And we start now with Mr. Inartap.
I'm gonna say under.
Under. Mr. Inartap. We go with Michael DeVillano.
Oh my god, I have no idea. B over, why not? I have no concept.
What you said?
I'm gonna go for B. I don't.
Over.
I'm guessing, of course. Yeah.
And Mr. Andrew.
Under.
Under. All right. And Danny, you said first under, now you said over. That's 0.5, but we'll give it to you if you get it.
Oh, he went back to under.
He's back under. Jesus.
That's a quarter.
All right. So
You only got 2 choices here, guys.
now we go for under to over to under because the answer was. Oh my God! Over.
Oh, wow.
53 players and different player used, and we have only one at 3 right now. Andy Koivula got 3, and that's it happening for him. Congratulations.
Wow.
Question number 4. Are you ready? It'll be easier this one.
Oh, I'm
Oh, yeah.
How many
Sure.
assists all the goalies have in the NHL, Canadian Montreal, since they are in the NHL? All the goalies together, how many assists they got? 169 assists. Is it under, over, or exact?
Oh my God.
Oh, coach.
What are you doing to us?
Ron said over. François Pitt said exact. Andy said exact. Pierre Martin said over. We have a few. Luc Lafortune said under.
Didn't Jose Theodore have like 160 himself?
Michael DeVillano, under, over, exact.
Oh my God. So all of the goalies in 105 years. And 169.
We're
So
talking
I
about
think it's
assists.
let's go with C exact. I don't know. It's
Oh,
probably
man.
What you answer now?
let's go with exact.
Exact. Mr. Andrew
Exact.
and Mr. Inotap,
Over.
over. RG said under, and everybody else said something. Can Mr. Andy Koivula go for 4-4 with an exact?
Oh my God!
And he did it. C, exact 169 assists. And we have Andy Koivula at 4, Francois Pitt at 3, Michael DeVillano at 3, Andrew at 2, King of Gamer at 2. And many of you are at 1 and some are at 0, and we don't want to mention any name right now. Last question of the night.
Oh my God!
That's an easy one. How many from the QM, the Montreal Canadiens draft and their history? 149 players came drafted by the Montreal Canadiens, came from the QM. So is it under or over?
Oh, there's got to be more than that, no? Wait, when we say drafted, though,
We're talking about
because they had that
goalies,
rule.
or-
Does that
They was drafted in 1963, and they are drafted by came from the QM. Like Shawinigan, 12 years, she could see me, whatever they are.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what round, right?
No, it matter that wrong. They was draft.
I think there's got to
Danny
be.
said under.
There's over that.
Luciano, we said
Over.
under.
I agree, it's over.
King of Gamers said under. Luc Lafortune said under. And Corey Hill, first time of the night, he said over. Francois Pitt said over. Andy, can he go for 5-5? Pierre Martin said over. And we have RG said over. We have Ron with King said under. I'm going to be wrong with Danny. Mr. Inotap,
I think it's over.
how many answers you have so far, Mr. Inotap?
I forget. It's too many.
That right now your score is 0, but we don't tell anybody.
Thank you. Thank you for publicizing that. Thank you.
Andrew,
I'm going over.
I'm sorry?
Over.
Over for Andrew. And Michael DeVillano
I'm going to go with over.
with over.
Yeah.
If it's under, Andy Koivula have the perfect game tonight. It's not over, under, but maybe one of you guys can win. Michael DeVillano tie the game at 4-4. The answer,
too.
this one, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh my God!
it's under 136 player.
Oh, my word.
At least I was consistent.
Man.
And we have a one winner, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Koivula, he did it 5-5 on that one over there. Unbelievable. Wow.
Good job.
Way to go, Andy.
Great job.
Wow, this is a solid one, to be honest with you. 5 with those kind of questions, that's pretty solid, to be honest with you. Number 2, Michael DeVillano, following by Francois Pitre at 3. We have a few people like Andrew, King of Gamer, and Ron Kings, Luc Lafortune at 2. With Danny Impossible, I don't know. He make so many under, over. I don't know at the end of the day. And some of you are 0, like who?
Did Intercept get 0?
I got 0. Yeah.
Did you really? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I thought we had the same answer on a couple of them.
Now
Yeah,
the first
the
one you missed,
Once we
Michael,
got
that's
wrong.
the one.
The two
Why?
you got wrong,
It
we
was
had
the
the
one I
same
missed.
answer.
Yeah. So that's happening
that's
about
what it
that
was.
one over there. But it was great for everybody. Thanks for joining us. I know we hit the midnight, so some of you are tired already. So thanks again to join our power play. Tomorrow night, we're going to go to Toronto. We're going to do the live stream Toronto tomorrow night. And Thursday, we're going to do the Montreal Canadiens. That's what we're at. So thank you so much, Mr. Inotap, Michael Devilano, and Mr. Andrew Lepage for your participation tonight. And if you're doing tonight, don't forget, Carey Price make 10.5 million per season. Don't forget about that one over there. Until then, we went to everybody to wish you.
You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
Thank you so much, everybody, to join us tonight. We wish you an amazing, great night. And but before we leave, want to remind you, be well, be healthy, and find a way not only dominate your day, but Mr. Inotap,
Dominate your 2022.
you did it again. Congratulations, everybody. Have an amazing, great night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
What do I
Good
know?
one.
What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I let go? I do really want to know what's going on now. Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I say so? We're just putting
Merci,
on
Pierre.
a show.
Merci, Danny. Round with Kings. Great again. Andy Quivula. Congratulations, King of Gamers. Thank you so much. Luciano Graziano. La Fortune. Danny T, the man of the man, did a very good job tonight. Mr. Nicholas. Thank you so much. Alexandre Meilleur. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Renaud left the building. We love Renaud anyway. That's what Pitt. Good night. RJ. Good night. With La Fortune. Danny T.
What's going on now? Is this another breakdown? You and
Salut, mon
me,
Luc.
should I let go?
King of Gamers.
I do really want to know what's going on now. Is this another breakdown? You and me, should I say so? We're just putting
Adam
on
Burger.
a show.
Night.
Come on, get a grip now of all the ways we parted. You showed in your own way we would stand and we would fall united. Come on, get a grip now. Just finish what you started. Don't like the feeling that I've been fooled, deceived, and so misguided.